Yo legends! Welcome back to the channel. Grab your headphones and lock in, because today's story is on another level. Want the next chapter? Drop a comment below, and if the legend continues, I'm bringing it straight to you. Disclaimer: I do not claim ownership of this story. All rights belong to the original creators. Note: I'm constantly tweaking the settings to make it as immersive as possible. One Piece, the Navy's 8-year-old tech maniac. Page 1. One Piece, the Navy's 8-year-old technology maniac. The Four Emperors are crazy author. The man who became the Pirate King summary. After traveling through time, Xia Yu became an 8-year-old kid, awakened his technological system, and used his brother Kizaru's identity to join the Navy's Science and Technology Department. Create Seraph at the beginning, upgrade to Admiral Seraph, and Rocks Seraph. It destroyed the three major balancing forces of the sea, the Navy, and overwhelmed the Seven Warlords of the sea and the Four Emperors. There is also the Cosmic Fruit Tree, which is superior to the Devil Fruit Tree. The power of the fruit on the tree includes all the world's powers. Iron Man mecha, domineering apple, kinetic energy drink, nuclear peace activist. All kinds of black technology are available. From then on, the entire pirate world went astray. Blackbeard, maybe you don't know, but my pirate group was wiped out by two of the lowest level Seraphim. Doflamingo, a new era has arrived, but it is an era that belongs to Xia Yu alone. If you want to defeat the Navy, you can only rely on technology. After the pirates successfully replicated some of Xia Yu's technological products, a competition for technological research and development funds between the Navy and the pirates officially began. Four Emperors. In order to resist the Navy and replicate Xia Yu's technology, we spent all our savings. Navy, do you think we can get any better? Speaking of which, you may not believe it. The celestial dragons have no money. Xia Yu, it was you who gave me money and begged me to do the research and development. No money, is it my fault? Chapter 1. What? Yellow Monkey, you want to force your 8-year-old brother into the Ministry of Science and Technology. What? Your 8-year-old brother is joining the Naval Science Department? Naval Headquarters, inside the Marshal's office. Sakaski was looking at Kizaru with a confused look on his face, and then he started shouting excitedly. Akiji and Garp were also present in the Marshal's office. After hearing what Kizaru said, they all showed expressions of confusion and puzzlement. Yellow Monkey Borsellino, it's okay if he's not active at work on weekdays. After all, he's always clocking in, so they just turn a blind eye. But this time, they actually stuffed relatives into such an important unit as the Naval Science Department. It would be fine if he understood technology, but the one he got is an 8-year-old kid. Let alone understanding technology, he probably hasn't even learned addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division well. Isn't it too absurd to let him join the Naval Science Department? Borsellino, I know you also want your brother to get a salary to supplement the family income, but the Naval Scientific Department is such an important department. If you let your 8-year-old brother go there, wouldn't that cause trouble? Even the usually honest Aokiji couldn't stand it anymore and joined Sakaski's camp to fight against Kizaru. Lieutenant General, he also shook his head helplessly, saying that he had a headache. Nowadays, there are more and more pirates on the sea, and they are already a bit overwhelmed. Now Kizaru is looking for something for them to do, and the life of the Navy is getting harder and harder. Garp looked nonchalant. An 8-year-old kid, going to the Naval Science Department, haha. Interesting, interesting, Garp said with a big grin while eating senbei. Only after Vice Admiral Tsuru rolled his eyes did Garp finally calm down. Kizaru Borsellino scratched his head and looked at the people around him with an embarrassed look on his face. I didn't expect that my colleagues would react so strongly to this matter. Apparently, when I was working in the Navy, I was too lazy and caused public outrage. My stupid brother Xia Yu brother, I can only help you up to this point. Apparently, if you don't pass these people's tests, it's impossible for you to smoothly enter the Naval Science Department and get a salary. At this moment, the door of the Marshal's office suddenly opened and Marshal Zhang Guo walked in with an 8-year-old child. The round little head is very clever, the small figure walks with a childish look, and the face is very white, just like a porcelain doll. A pair of bright big eyes revealing a hint of cunning. This cute 8-year-old kid is Kizaru's younger brother Xia Yu. Hello everyone, please don't blame my brother. I begged him. But don't worry, I can definitely enter the Naval Science Department with my own strength. You just need to not set an age limit for me, Xia Yu said in a childish tone. Vice Admiral he was overwhelmed with maternal love and touched Xia Yu's chubby little head. Ha ha ha. What a cute little kid, but don't brag. After all, the Naval Science Department has very high requirements for the scientific and technological literacy of applicants. Vice Admiral Tsuru said gently. Garp, Akenu, Akiji and others looked at Kizaru with curiosity. I really can't understand how someone like Kizaru can have such a cute and handsome brother. In fact, Xia Yu is a genuine time traveler. 8 years ago, he traveled through time and space and was reborn into the body of a baby, who happened to be Kizaru's younger brother. He had the memories of his previous life, so at the age of 8, he seemed extremely intelligent. More importantly, he came with the system, and his system is called the Infinite Technology System. As long as you have the funds, you can unlock unlimited and amazing technologies of your own. However, the amount of funding is naturally huge. Just yesterday, I spent all the pocket money I had saved by living frugally for 8 years and finally developed the first Seraph before Vegapunk. And this speed is far from enough. In this world, only the celestial dragons can afford the funds to support their own technological systems. If you want to research more, there is no better place than the Navy's Science Department. And it just so happens that I also have the Seraphim and the Pledge of Allegiance. That's why I cried, made a fuss, and even threatened to hang myself today, begging my brother Borsellino to introduce me to someone. Of course I understand this, sister he. Now, let me show you my invention. He smiled even more happily when he heard Xia Yu calling her sister he. Come out, Seraph Bear, Xia Yu said lightly. At the door of the marshal's office, a fat robot boy suddenly walked out. The people around looked over, each with a puzzled expression. A child appeared. No, there's something wrong with this kid. Why are there flames on his wings? Could it be that this person is a little devil from the Lunaria tribe? Exclamation! This person created a humanoid weapon using the bloodline factors of the 7 Warlords of the Sea, Kuma, Jin of the Lunalia clan, and Kizaru's brother. Xia Yu explained to everyone. What? It's actually a humanoid weapon. So realistic, not to mention that he actually looks a bit like Tyrant Bear when he was a child. No matter how powerful this machine is, right? A mere 8-year-old kid actually knows how to use his bloodline factors. Just based on this point, he can be called a little genius. You just said he was a humanoid weapon? Then I want to ask you, how does your child robot compare to a pacifist? Jan Guo showed a curious look. If this is more powerful than the pacifist, the Navy can definitely consider mass production. However, words alone are not enough. To be specific, we still have to see the specific expression performance of this machine. The difference? Of course it's huge. First of all, it's the most basic laser, super physical strength, and life recovery ability. When everyone arrived at the training camp, Seraph Bear began his performance. The extremely powerful laser beam directly destroyed a small hill next to the naval base, completely crushing the pacifists. Before everyone had time to sigh, the next moment, Seraph Bear moved hundreds of meters away in an instant with just one punch. A large abandoned steel warehouse 100 meters away was smashed into pieces. It also has a terrifying ability to recover. After being injured and bleeding, it can complete the miraculous operation of stopping bleeding, scarring, healing, and regenerating brand new skin in less than a second. After seeing the performance of Seraph Bear, the usually steady military leaders around him opened their mouths wide and were completely shocked. Brother, the laser power of the machine you researched is almost catching up with mine. Kizaru said in shock, his eyes widened under his sunglasses. With this speed, has he actually learned the razor from the 6 styles of the Navy? And this terrifying explosive power is 10 times more terrifying than that of a pacifist. Garp, who has always been careless, also became serious. Is this really a machine? It's too realistic, it can even bleed. Moreover, its recovery ability is too abnormal, it's comparable to the top-level animal-type devil fruit ability. Aokiji covered his mouth and exclaimed. Jan Guo, Sakaski, and others were so shocked that they were speechless. They just stood there in a daze, swallowing their saliva frantically. They naturally understood the importance of this machine to the Navy once it was mass-produced. Such a terrifying machine, after it is mass-produced, even if each branch is given one, it can completely destroy the pirates on the Grand Line. Even Vegapunk, the world's #1 scientist who is 500 years ahead of the world's technology, cannot create such a terrifying machine. If they hadn't seen it with their own eyes, they wouldn't believe it even if they were beaten to death. Now it has been developed by an 8-year-old kid. What a monstrous genius. Page 2. The future of the Navy is promising. After a long time, Jan Guo came out of his shock and walked towards Xia Yu. You kid, you're great. Jan Guo patted Xia Yu's shoulder heavily and said excitedly. The Navy is about to rise. Xia Yu, you are the lucky star of our Navy. Vice Admiral, he said with his eyes flashing. Kizaru was even more proud. This was his own younger brother, and he was promising. It was also a great honor for him. I wonder who will dare to accuse me of using my relatives to get in through the back door in the future. If any one of you is capable, please send over a relative who has better skills than Vegapunk. But Xia Yu looked calm and was not moved by anyone's praise at all. This is just the beginning, just some basic skills. I haven't shown its core ability yet, which is that it also possesses the ability of dual-color domineering and the meatball fruit. Xia Yu said slowly. As soon as these words came out, the high-ranking Navy officials were completely furious. Exclamation, exclamation, there are question marks and exclamation marks above everyone's head. Chapter 2 My Machine Combat Power, starting the 7 Warlords of the Sea. What? Exclamation. The people around were once again shocked by Xia Yu and felt like they were experiencing a magnitude 10 earthquake. Garp and Sengoku looked at each other and saw the shock in each other's eyes. If you don't say anything shocking, you will die. Hacky, devil fruit, no one knows better than them what these 2 things mean. Now Xia Yu actually told them that these things were owned by a machine? This is unscientific, too unscientific. Vice Admiral, he widened his eyes, his face filled with disbelief. Hacky, devil fruit. That's something only humans have. What's the difference between a robot with hacky and the power of a devil fruit and a human? This machine is so realistic it's a bit scary. Sakaski also walked forward and looked at the Seraph bear with a puzzled look on his face. How could a machine possibly understand dominance? Besides, only humans can eat devil fruits. How can a robot obtain the power of the devil? This is a bit too far-fetched. There is such a machine in the world. You are not kidding us, kid. Sakaski narrowed his eyes and said suspiciously. What nonsense. My brother would never lie, Kizaru said, protecting his child. Brother, don't make any noise, I'll show you right away. Seraphim bear, show them your armament color first. Xia Yu said in a baby voice. Sakaski, Aokiji and the others all looked at the Seraph bear with anticipation, without blinking, for fear of missing any details. It seemed as if he could understand Xia Yu's words. The Seraphim bear, who had been motionless just now, heard Xia Yu's order, and a layer of black armor, like obsidian, condensed on the bear's shoulders. Garp and others activated their observation haki and discovered that Seraphim bear's armament haki was no different from that of humans, and it had even reached the level of primary Yuo haki. This feeling is really the armed color domineering. Jan Guo showed an ecstatic look. And it has reached the level of Yuo haki. It's incredible. Garp widened his eyes and said with an exaggerated expression. No one here knows more about armament hacky than Garp. So Xia Yu's robot bear has reached the level of Yuo, no doubt about it. If it has the ability to observe and the devil fruit, this machine would probably have reached the level of the Seven Warlords of the Sea. Vice Admiral Tsuru swallowed, his eyes filled with shock. Akenu also froze in place. Is it true that a robot possesses the domineering aura that only humans can possess? This kind of thing is actually true? Even Kizaru opened his mouth wide with an incredible expression. My brother's he so awesome? I didn't even notice it before. It seems that I am an incompetent brother. There was such a great scientific genius in my family, and I didn't even know about it, even though I work in the Naval Science and Technology Department. Next, don't stop, show your observation hacky. To everyone's surprise, Xia Yu continued to give his orders. Sakaski was still a little skeptical and walked out. I'll try it myself. A fist filled with magma was launched from Akenu's body. The air around them became extremely hot. However, Akenu was naturally cautious when attacking. This was the future hope of the Navy, and he was reluctant to destroy it. The attack is not strong, but the speed is extremely fast. The red magma fist arrived in front of the Seraph bear in an instant. There was a glint in the eyes of the Seraph bear, and the next moment he turned sideways perfectly, smoothly, and effortlessly. Almost brushing against the Seraphim bear's body, the huge magma fist flew out from the side of the bear. Boom! The hot magma fist exploded completely dozens of meters behind the Seraphim bear. A large amount of magma gushed out, forming a huge deep pit, and the Seraph bear was still standing there safely, without a scratch. Good, good. Cap clapped his hands in celebration. Sengoku was also extremely excited. Regarding the test of domineering, he had completely reached the level of the Seven Warlords of the Sea. Unexpectedly, Kizaru's younger brother is actually a genius scientist that only appears once in 1,000 years. Now, the crazy growth of pirate power since the Pirate King Roger can be suppressed. It actually worked. The Xia Yu is definitely the greatest genius I have ever seen. An extremely bright light flashed in his eyes. Sakaski widened his eyes with a look of shock, and even his voice trembled. You actually dodged my attack, unbelievable. The other people also showed their joy. Seraph Bear, keep going. Show your devilish abilities. Xia Yu ordered. Surprises came one after another, and the Navy's top brass had not yet gotten over the joy of this machine's dominance. Next, Seraph Bear began to demonstrate his devil fruit abilities. After hearing Xia Yu's words, Jan Guo, Garp, and others immediately widened their eyes and stared at Seraph Bear. Everyone looked excited and expectant. What kind of ability will it be? It's probably some artificial animal-type devil fruit ability developed by Vegapunk. In this way, you can increase your physical fitness, which is pretty good. But the next moment they were dumbfounded. The devil fruit ability displayed by Seraph Bear is actually no different from that of Tyrant Bear. A huge bear paw shock wave gathered in the bear's hand. The next moment, they bombarded an abandoned bunker 1,000 meters ahead. Boom! Under the impact of the huge shockwave, the huge bunker was directly blown up, and even the earth trembled slightly due to the force of the impact. The atmosphere around them suddenly became quiet and no one spoke. This made Xia Yu a little confused. What happened? Before I finished my presentation, you guys were all praising me non-stop. Now that I'm done, no one is praising me. Xia Yu looked helpless a long time. Only then did Jan Guo and the others come to their senses. It wasn't that they didn't want to talk, but the ability that this machine demonstrated to them was simply too abnormal. I originally thought that it would be great to have an artificial animal-type ability. Who would have thought that it would be so surprising that he even possessed the ability of Tyrant Bear's meatball fruit? This guy's fighting power is comparable to that of a real Tyrant Bear, right? Wrong. Page 3. This machine also possesses the power of Kizaru and Lunalia's family. It is even more powerful than Tyrant Bear, starting at the level of the Seven Warlords of the Sea. Chapter 3. I will use 500 billion yuan to get funding, and the Lieutenant General will be my security guard. One by one, they came to their senses and began to vent their thoughts frantically. It's so shocking, little brat, how did you do that? Cap said in shock, his eyes dull, and he swallowed his saliva. Tyrant Bear is not dead, so there is no way a new meatball fruit can appear in this world. Could it be an artificial meatball devil fruit? Can it actually be created? Lieutenant General, he narrowed his eyes, his face full of surprise and doubt. Unbelievable, too unbelievable. A machine that possesses both haki and devil fruit abilities, isn't it just an obedient Shichibukai? Aokiji opened his mouth wide, his expression exaggerated to the extreme. I didn't believe it at first, but now I'm really convinced. How could such a thing be made? Are you a monster? Sakaski lit a cigar, took a deep puff, and spoke after calming himself down. Kizaru smiled even more proudly. See, this little guy is my younger brother. A technological genius that appears once in 1,000 years. Actually, it's nothing. A robot, naturally, must have human characteristics. The machines you saw before can't possess haki or devil fruit abilities simply because they are too weak. As for the ability of the meatball fruit, it's because I extracted this ability from the bear's blood bank factor. You can also understand it as an artificial meatball devil fruit. Xia Yu explained like a little adult. Although he didn't understand much, Jan Guo was very excited. Mass production. Such a powerful humanoid weapon must be mass-produced. After mass production, I wonder which pirate would dare to go against the Navy. From now on, I can retire peacefully. Jan Guo was immediately excited and held Xia Yu's hand tightly. No need to go through the formalities. You've been accepted. You'll be working in our Naval Science Department from now on. Work hard. I don't know how much would it cost if this humanoid weapon were mass-produced. Jan Guo said expectantly. Xia Yu smiled slightly. Mass production of this kind of humanoid weapon would cost about 50 billion baileys. Xia Yu said lightly, with a hint of cunning in his eyes that was difficult to detect. What? It's so expensive. Upon hearing such an expensive price, Jan Guo was shocked. The other senior executives were even more shocked. Kizaru even calculated that he would not be able to earn so much money even if he worked and slacked off for his entire life. Just listen to me slowly. This kind of seraph of the Shichibukai level is cheap. 2 billion billy each, and 10 of them are only 20 billion billy. Xia Yu said. Yeah, 20 billion baileys, totally reasonable. Although 20 billion baileys is a huge sum of money, you have to know that a naval warship costs more than 10 billion baileys. Normally, the funds required to maintain world justice are astronomical. 2 billion berries can buy a risk-free and absolutely obedient Shichibukai. It's not a loss at all. 20 billion berries, to possess the power of the 7 Warlords of the Sea, one of the 3 major forces in the world, is a huge profit. But 50 billion baileys is too big a number, and the Navy is really short of funds recently. Don't be anxious, listen to me slowly. I still have a general-level Seraph, but since it's the first time to develop it, I'm sure it will cost more. I'll need 200 billion in R&D funds. After it's developed, the cost can be reduced to 100 billion each. Don't these add up to 50 billion baileys? Xia Yu explained. In fact, this is all nonsense from Xia Yu. If he masters the future technology and improves it, these things will be ready, and the cost will be only 20 billion baileys at most. The reason why Xia Yu asked for such a high price was that in order to unlock the next technological lock, the technology of Admiral Seraph, he had to meet the system requirements of his own 50 billion research and development funds. It doesn't matter whether the money is spent or not, but you must get 500 billion in funding from the Navy to unlock the new Admiral-level Seraph technology. So, Xia Yu asked for 500 billion berries. He had contributed so much to the Navy, so it wouldn't be too much to ask for a little bit of profit, right? And many more. What did you say? The Admiral version of Seraph? Everyone present was shocked. If Xia Yu really created this kind of thing, I'm afraid the whole world would change. Especially once the Admiral Seraph is mass-produced. The Navy will be able to completely eliminate not only the pirates on the Grand Line, but also the 4 emperors of the New World. Are you kidding? Do you think a bunch of generals are just joking? However, most people still have doubts about things like the Admiral Seraph. Are you sure this kind of man-made machine can really be created? You know, for the admirals, let alone the devil fruits, even their basic taijutsu and haki are already top-notch in this world. Even if you are a highly talented human being, you may not be able to reach the level of a general. How can a machine reach the level of a general? They could barely accept the creation of a seraph of the Shichibukai level, but they really couldn't even imagine the creation of a seraph of the admiral level. In fact, it's not their fault. After all, this kind of thing came from the mouth of an 8-year-old kid. What if it was a prank, and it was at the level of a general? It sounds too shocking. This is unlikely, right? Kid, with your fighting prowess, are you sure you understand what a general is? If you don't know, you'd better stop bragging. Sakaski narrowed his eyes and said suspiciously, I don't doubt that Xia Yu can create a stronger seraph. But I am worried that this kid Xia Yu has no idea of the general's true combat power. What if the one created is a brigadier general level seraph? In that case, 10 billion Baileys would be a bit of a loss. It would be more cost-effective to create 7 warlords of the sea seraphs. Although Vice Admiral He did not say anything, he looked at the hesitant Jian Guo. 50 billion berries is not a small number. It is the Navy's budget for half a year. For such a large sum of money, Jian Guo would have to take a huge risk. If I mess up, I'm afraid I will inevitably be held accountable by the 5 elders. Yeah, Brother Xia Yu, you have to think it over carefully. Don't say anything before you make it. Kizaru also said worriedly. If the Seraphim we create doesn't reach the level of an admiral, and the Navy blames me and docks my salary, I'll be in trouble. Xia Yu simply waved his tender little hands. Don't worry, brother. If I say he has the strength of an admiral, he definitely has the strength of an admiral. After all, my brother is an admiral, and I have also watched the teaching videos released by your Navy of the admirals fighting desperately. I know what it's like to be an admiral, Xia Yu said confidently. Hearing this, Jian Guo was finally moved. In fact, I also know that no matter what Xia Yu says, there are certain risks associated with being a general or a seraph. But the admiral-level seraph is too tempting for me as a Navy marshal, let alone mass production. Even if 2 or 3 can be produced, it will definitely be a huge benefit to the current Navy. At least the 4 emperors of the New World will definitely be able to suppress them in the future. The temptation is too great. Who cares? If I win, I'll be a young model in the club. If I lose, I'll go to the sea to work. I wonder how long it will take you to create these seraphs, asked Jian Guo. The Shichibukai level seraph has been successfully developed and 10 can be produced within 3 days. A general level seraphim? Because research and development takes some time, it takes half a month to develop it. After it is developed, it will be very fast to produce it in the future. Xia Yu explained. After hearing Xia Yu's words, Jian Guo gritted his teeth and finally made up his mind. At least he had the guarantee of the 7 warlords of the Sea Seraph. Even if he failed to research the admiral-level seraph, the 5 elders would not punish him too much. Good boy. 50 billion Baileys, I'll find a way for you. Go ahead and research it. If you fail, it's my fault. After hearing what Sengoku said, Vice Admiral Tsuru, Barp, and others all looked over. It can be seen that Jian Guo really likes these machines. For this reason, even if it means facing punishment from the 5 elders, I will not hesitate. Waring states, this is a gamble. Xia Yu smiled slightly. 50 billion funds were in hand. Don't worry, Uncle Jian Guo. You just need to provide me with a dedicated laboratory and don't let anyone disturb me. As for the research and development results, don't worry, I can guarantee you that I will complete the task. Xia Yu assured in a baby voice. Good boy, if that's the case, you should take up your post immediately. You don't have to worry about all the work procedures. I will handle it for you. You can focus on scientific research, Jan Guo said excitedly. Afterwards, Kizaru and Sengoku himself, along with the young scientist Xia Yu, boarded a warship and headed to the Naval Science and Technology Department. Page 4. Now, not only for Xia Yu, but also for Zhan Guo, they dare not waste even a minute. That's why Zhan Guo was so eager to let Xia Yu report directly without going through all the rules and regulations and conduct scientific research in the independent laboratory of the Ministry of Science and Technology. Naturally, I will send special lieutenant generals to take turns on guard. There can't be any accidents with such an important talent. Chapter 4, Lieutenant General 4, it's just a machine, how could it be stronger than us? Naval Science Department. The 4 Lieutenant Generals Ghost Spider, Burning Mountain, Mole, and Virgo gathered together and were having a heated discussion about the upcoming technological genius. Have you also received orders from Marshal Zhan Guo? Virgo asked doubtfully. Yes. Did you receive it too? My order is to take turns on duty here to protect the technological geniuses that our Navy headquarters is eager to recruit, said the mole in surprise. Who is this technological genius? Could it be Vegapunk? Ghost Spider guessed. But that's not true. We all know Vegapunk. That guy always likes to stay in Future Island and doesn't even bother to come to our Naval Science and Technology Department. Hugh Xiaoshan explained. That's strange. Besides Vegapunk, who else in the Navy could make Marshal Sengoku mobilize such a large force? Every day, 4 vice admirals from the Marine headquarters are dispatched to act as bodyguards. This force is comparable to that of the Celestial Dragons. The mole squinted his eyes and said, no matter how hard he thought, he couldn't figure out which great scientist it was. Just as everyone was discussing this, the warship carrying Marshal Zhan Guo had already arrived ashore coming. Everyone's eyes flickered, and they all went forward to greet him. They were very curious about what kind of genius appeared in the Navy, who had to make such a big fuss just for protection. Could it be that his skills can rival Vegapunk's? Marshal of the Warring States period. General Kizaru. All the lieutenant generals came forward and saluted. However, when they looked around, they found that there was no one else except an 8-year-old kid following behind Kizaru, let alone a scientist. This made these lieutenant generals very confused. Excuse me, the great scientist you asked us to protect and not let anyone disturb him. Is he absent today because of something? Lieutenant General Mole was so curious that he dared to ask. After hearing this, Zhan Guo smiled slightly. Kizaru, you should introduce them. Kizaru walked forward. Hello everyone, this little brat is my younger brother Xia Yu. He will be working in the Naval Science Corps in the future. Everyone looked over. Such a cute little kid is much more handsome than the old ape, but an 8-year-old kid coming to the science department probably can't do anything, right? No need to think, it must be this Kizaru, who wants to send people to the science department again. It's fine if I just slack off and get paid, but now I'm sending my own brother to slack off. Hello everyone, my name is Xia Yu, and I am the one you are supposed to protect. Please give me your guidance, Xia Yu said in a baby voice. Rom, what did this little kid say just now? He is our protected person, which means he is the technological genius that Marshal Zhan Guo mentioned? Everyone is collectively confused. Marshal Sengoku's tone in the Den Mushi before was very serious, not joking at all. We thought it would be some big shot. It turns out that it was an 8-year-old kid who wanted to do scientific research, and he was Kizaru's younger brother. Don't we know how smart Kizaru is? I can just slack off at work and go get a massage and bath with a girl after get off work. Then his brother is probably the same, definitely not cut out for scientific research. It's totally off the mark. The lieutenant generals looked at each other, and they could see speechless expressions in each other's eyes, but they did not dare to say anything because of the face of the marshal and the general. Only helpless smile just when everyone was speechless. Xia Yu spoke again. Oh, and my friend, he can't speak. The next moment, the fat cherubim bear appeared in front of everyone. Your friend? He can't even speak. What the hell? However, out of curiosity, the lieutenant generals still looked over. Then, they saw a child with black wings, gray skin, and flames on his body appear in front of them. There are flames on the wings. Is this the Lunalia family? Why do I feel like I'm quite similar to a bear? The lieutenant generals were all puzzled. He is a machine I created, called Seraph Bear. Seraphim Bear, please call everyone. These are our security guards. Xia Yu introduced. Seraph Bear waved to the lieutenant generals without saying a word. Now, this group of people finally understood that this boy who looked like a bear child was a robot. And it was created by this 8-year-old kid. Xia Yu. An 8-year-old kid can create a robot. Moreover, the bloodline factor of the Lunalia family was also utilized. Maybe Marshal Zhang Guo asked us to protect Xia Yu because he saw his potential. After all, it is rare in the world to have such talent at such a young age. In this way, the frustration in the hearts of the lieutenant generals was slightly relieved. Don't underestimate this Seraph. His fighting power has reached the level of the 7 warlords of the sea. We must protect this place well. Kizaru ordered. What? Exclamation after hearing Kizaru's words, the vice admirals present were all shocked. Our killing machine, a pacifist, wouldn't dare say he can reach the level of the 7 warlords of the sea. An 8-year-old kid researching a childlike machine is actually even more perverted than the killing machine that Vegapunk is researching. Isn't this a bit of a fantasy? All the lieutenant generals present opened their mouths wide, frowned tightly, and showed incredible and exaggerated expressions. Actually, it's not their fault after all. Even people of the level of Sengoku and Garp were so shocked that they couldn't speak. You have to know that most of these vice admirals have not yet reached the level of the 7 warlords. Now you tell me, an 8-year-old kid developing a little devil machine could be better than us. How could this not shock them? After a long period of shock, everyone finally came to their senses. Marshal Sengoku, what Admiral Kizaru said just now, is it true? The mole coughed twice and asked in a questioning tone. Yeah, Admiral Kizaru, you are not playing a joke on us, are you? This child robot is so terrifying. Hyusheishin swallowed hard and said in a trembling voice. The other lieutenant generals also pricked up their ears, eager to know the answer. Chapter 5. Tanyasha, are you sure such a genius is only 8 years old, not 18? Kizaru curled his lips. Yo, can I still lie to you? Marshal Zhang Guo also had a serious look on his face. Borsellino, it's all true. Xia Yu came here to build more Seraphim. You must complete the tasks I assigned to you carefully. Don't take it lightly. After receiving the answer personally acknowledged by Marshal Zhang Guo, the lieutenant generals excitedly quickened their breathing. One by one, they fixed their gaze on Xia Yu's body again, their Adam's apples trembling, and they couldn't help swallowing their saliva. Awesome little devil. If this is true, the entire ocean landscape might change in the future. I have another question, Marshal Zhang Guo. If this machine is really that powerful, then our protection doesn't seem that important anymore. After all, you senior executives all know about Xia Yu. Apart from you senior executives, it should be difficult for others to defeat this Seraph, right? Mole asked doubtfully. Page 5. I didn't want to tell you, but since you asked, it's okay to tell you. Actually, your main task is to prevent others from disturbing Dr. Xia Yu's scientific research. After all, many people in our Navy headquarters don't recognize this machine, but they recognize you. With you here, we can completely avoid some unnecessary troubles within the Navy, Zhang Guo said with a smile. Now, these lieutenant generals finally understood. So, they are not here to be bodyguards. At best they are just dormant. It hurts. I am completely heartbroken this time. Vice Admiral Mole's mouth twitched, and he felt that he was asking for trouble. Okay, I understand. said the mole with a wry smile. If there's no problem, I'll leave. Oh, by the way, you are strictly prohibited from spreading anything that happened today, especially the pirates. We must not let them know our navy's secrets. This you should understand, right? Zhang Guo reminded with a serious face. Everyone's heart tightened. This secret concerned the future of the entire navy. These lieutenant generals had been working in the navy for so many years, so they naturally realized the seriousness of the problem. Clear, all the lieutenant generals said in unison. Zhang Guo nodded slightly. Yo, brother, you are here. Do your best. Kizaru also waved goodbye to Xia Yu. Afterwards, Sengoku and Kizaru said goodbye and left. While waiting for Warring States and Yellow Monkey to leave, the 4 lieutenant generals consciously guarded the 4 directions. As a vice admiral, he does have some good eyesight. Anyone who comes near is not allowed to come near, and no noise is allowed within 1 kilometer. No one can delay Xia Yu's scientific research project. However, one of them was not thinking about this. It was Virgo, the undercover agent arranged by Doflamingo in the Navy. At this moment, Virgo, who was guarding the laboratory, felt waves of anxiety rising in his heart. If this is true, the future strength of the Navy will probably be epically enhanced. Then Lord Doflamingo, it will be dangerous from now on. The main reason why the young master was able to run rampant before, in addition to the secrets of the celestial dragons, was because of his own strength. The Navy needed the young master's power to serve the Navy. However, in the future, when Seraphs are mass-produced, the 7 warlords of the sea can be completely replaced. This is an incredible thing. We must quickly tell the young master this news. It was not until the handover was completed in the evening and Virgo returned to his G5 branch that he dismissed everyone with a serious expression. I called a familiar number in the Dressrosa Palace. Doflamingo, wearing a pink feather coat and pointed leather shoes, was sitting on the throne with his legs crossed, shaking a goblet and tasting top-quality red wine. At this moment, the den mushy suddenly rang. Brew. After seeing the source of the call, Doflamingo showed a hint of surprise. It turned out to be Virgo, the undercover agent he had placed in the Navy, who called. Speaking of which, for fear of being discovered, the two haven't spoken on the phone for a long time. So, Doflamingo picked up the phone. Phew, Virgo, you finally called me. Doflamingo made a gesture and said with a smile. A familiar voice came from the other end of the phone. Young master, I have some very important news that I need to report to you. Virgo spoke urgently. Oh. Doflamingo's eyes moved left and right under his sunglasses. I know that Virgo has always been steady. This time, the call came suddenly, and the tone was so urgent, something big must have happened. Doflamingo narrowed his eyes slightly, drove away all the mediocre people in the palace, and his expression began to become serious. Tell me, what's the matter? You, who are usually calm, seem very anxious. Doflamingo said curiously. I received a mysterious mission at the Navy headquarters today. That is to be on duty for the new scientist Xia Yu and refuse to be disturbed by anyone. Virgo continued. New scientist? Xia Yu? I've never heard of this person. Is this scientist very powerful? He actually wants you, a lieutenant general, to be his bodyguard? Doflamingo asked curiously. Virgo gave a wry smile. It's more than amazing. Although he is only 8 years old, this kid's technological level is said to be even stronger than Vegapunk. Virgo said with a wry smile. After hearing these words, Doflamingo was obviously stunned. Vegapunk, this man himself knows it clearly. Isn't it already powerful enough that his subordinate Caesar is proficient in creating artificial devil fruits? He was a colleague of Vegapunk before, but according to him, Vegapunk was better than him even in the artificial devil fruit technology that he was good at. Not to mention other technologies. Vegapunk is even considered by the world to be a peerless genius who is 500 years ahead of the world. Mysterious and unusual, well-deserved, the number one in the science and technology world. Originally, Doflamingo believed that it was impossible for a scientist more powerful than Vegapunk to appear in this world. However, now, his most beloved subordinate actually told him that there is a person whose technology is more powerful than Vegapunk, and what is even more terrifying is that this kid is only 8 years old. 8 years old, that's 8 years old. Not 18, an 8-year-old kid, his brain isn't fully developed yet, right? Now, you actually say that his skills may be even better than Vegapunk's. This sounds like a fairy tale. Doflamingo had a look of surprise on his face. An 8-year-old kid has technology more advanced than Vegapunk. Is your information really reliable? Doflamingo asked suspiciously. Chapter 6 Seraph. Doflamingo's concerns. I also heard this from my colleagues. Whether it is reliable or not remains to be seen. However, there is one thing I am certain of. That is, the war machine this kid is researching, the Seraph, is incredibly powerful. Otherwise, the Navy wouldn't have mobilized so many troops and sent 4 lieutenant generals to guard this place every day. War machine, Seraph. Doflamingo narrowed his eyes, revealing a hint of curiosity. If the Navy really develops a war machine that is more powerful than the pacifists, it will indeed have a certain impact on the whole world. Do you know how powerful this machine is? Doflamingo sat up straight and asked seriously. A new war machine. He possesses the characteristics of Lunaria's family, the appearance of Kuma when he was young. He also possesses the abilities of a pacifist. This is not the scariest thing. The scariest thing is that this machine has both domineering power and the ability of the meatflob fruit, Virgo said with a wry smile. What? A machine actually knows how to be domineering? Even a hero like Doflamingo opened his mouth wide with an incredible expression on his face. Even when it came to giant experiments, artificial devil fruits, and poison gas experiments, Doflamingo didn't even blink when he heard about these things. But now, when I heard that a robot possessed domineering power and fruit abilities, I was really surprised. Machines can actually possess the dominance of humans. This is beyond my imagination. Also, what about the fleshy fruit? The Smile Factory under his name produces artificial devil fruits. So I am very clear about the artificial fruit industry. Perhaps it is easy to produce an ordinary animal-type devil fruit, but to produce a real high-quality fruit artificially is harder than climbing to the sky. The globule-shaped fruit is definitely a rare and exquisite fruit among the parahuman series. Now it can actually be created. If this top-level fruit can be produced, then with this powerful technology, mass production of ordinary animal-type artificial devil fruits is a piece of cake. Will this affect my business in the future? Doflamingo is a little bit upset. Page 6. This machine, in Doflamingo's opinion, was indeed too strange. Have you witnessed these abilities with your own eyes? After a brief thought, Doflamingo asked nervously. I haven't seen this with my own eyes. But according to my intelligence, this war machine was tested. And in the end, Marshal Sengoku commented that this machine could reach the level of the 7 Warlords of the Sea. This is also the reason why our Navy sent 4 of our lieutenant generals to guard Xia Yu and also allocated him 500 billion in funding. Yes, other information may be false, but this 500 billion funding allocation is absolutely real. For this reason, our Navy's latest ordered warships have been shelved. It is just to be able to produce the first batch of Seraphim in 3 days. Virgo said excitedly. Even a hero like Doflamingo swallowed his saliva. Holy crap, 500 billion in funding. This is my Smile Factory's 10 years profit. Navy, since you can spend such a large sum of money, it proves that this machine is indeed unique. Even if he can't reach the level of the 7 Warlords of the Sea, he probably won't be that weak. If that happens, the 7 Warlords of the Sea are at risk of being replaced by the Navy after all. Between the uncontrolled 7 Warlords of the Sea and the 7 Warlords of the Sea war machines who absolutely obey orders, anyone would choose the latter. The guy who created this machine is actually an 8-year-old kid. Today's news is so explosive that even I find it hard to digest it all at once. Doflamingo fell into deep thought again. After a long while, he frowned and spoke solemnly. Listen carefully, Virgo. This news of yours is of great significance. No matter what the cost, you must keep a close eye on Seraph and that 8-year-old scientist Xia Yu. If you have any news, you must inform me immediately. Virgo also knew the seriousness of the matter and did not say much clear. After saying that, they both hung up the phone. Doflamingo was left alone, sitting on the throne in the palace, motionless. The amount of information is really too much, and Doflamingo needs to digest it carefully. The new era is finally coming. However, he really didn't expect that the first ones to suffer would be his group of 7 warlords of the sea. This terrifying machine has seriously affected the rule of the 7 warlords of the sea. Moreover, the existence of this high-tech machine is bound to affect Doflamingo, who is also in the technology business and made his fortune by selling artificial devil fruits. Imagine if there were a way to buy it. Buying an obedient, domineering killing machine with the power of a devil fruit would be much better than buying an artificial devil fruit that is risky to eat, right? Hateful. Think of this. The veins on Doflamingo's forehead bulged, and he smashed the wine in his hand to pieces. I remember your name is Xia Yu. What a troublesome guy. Doflamingo said angrily. 3 days passed in a blink of an eye. It's finally time for delivery. Sengoku, Garp, Crane, the 3 admirals couldn't wait to come to the door of Xia Yu's laboratory and wait. Squeak squeak, the door of the laboratory was finally opened. Jan Guo and others went to meet him. Especially Jan Guo, he took out so much money from the Navy budget at one time, which was totally a gamble. If Xia Yu fails to complete his mission, then his wisdom in this life will be ruined. How's it going, Xia Yu? Is it going well? Jan Guo said excitedly. Brother, how is the research going? What about the Seraphim? Kizaru also asked curiously. Xia Yu waved her tender little hands and spoke slowly. It's already been made. Follow me and I'll show you now. After hearing Xia Yu's words, Marshal Jan Guo finally breathed a sigh of relief. With a look of joy on his face, he followed Xia Yu into the laboratory. The rest of the people also showed excitement and curiosity and followed one by one. Arrived at the center of the 10 hatches, Xia Yu took out a remote control. With the pressing of the remote control, one by one Seraphim walked out of the hatch. Each Seraph looks like a child, with gray skin, black wings, and the unique flame of the Lunalia family. Jan Guo's face was filled with excitement. These are Empress Hancock, Hawkeye Mihawk, Gecko Moria, Crocodile, Doflamingo, Tyrant Bear also, Aokiji, Kizaru, and Akenu are among them. Although they look like children, it is not difficult to tell who they are. Kizaru looked at his younger version of Seraph with a look of surprise. Brother, how did you do it? You look exactly like me when I was little. Aokiji, Akenu, and the others also showed shocked expressions. It really does look like us when we were kids, Xia Yu. You're amazing. You even managed to create a Seraphim that looks like us. The 3 generals said with a smile. Ha ha ha, since the Navy has your bloodline genes, I might as well use it. I hope you don't mind. Xia Yu said. Garp and Vice Admiral Tsuru also looked excited. Don't worry, they are all Navy men. They are very happy. I just wonder how strong are these Seraphim? Harp said curiously. Upon hearing this, Jan Guo also looked expectant. Yeah, Xia Yu, just looking alike isn't enough. The most important thing is their fighting ability. Can they reach the level of the 7 warlords of the sea? They are originally war machines, and as a marshal, Jan Guo is still concerned about the combat effectiveness of these machines. If these machines could reach the level of the 7 warlords of the sea, I would be able to report to the 5 elders and make up for the money I had previously used privately from the Navy. Therefore, Jan Guo is very eager to know the combat effectiveness of these machines. This is naturally not difficult. Who among you wants to try it? Xia Yu said in a baby voice. Akenu came over at this time. Let me try it. Akenu licked his lips and said excitedly. Ever since he witnessed the combat effectiveness of Seraph Bear, Akenu has become more and more interested in these war machines in front of him. This can break the balance between the three major forces in the ocean. It's just right. I will take this opportunity to let Sakaski see how powerful you are. Chapter 7 Akenu, I'm going to fight 10 Seraphs. Huh? Are you sure? Okay, Sakaski, you're the one. But I have to warn you. I would rather you get hurt than cause irreparable damage to these machines. Jan Guo said nervously. These things are precious treasures that cost 2 billion Baileys each, and they were all funded by him. If something breaks, Jan Guo will have to use his pension money to pay for it. Hearing this, Marshal Jan Guo, not caring about himself, but actually caring about robots, Sakaski's mouth twitched for a while. However, he really wanted to spar with these Seraphim, so he nodded in agreement. Don't worry, Marshal Jan Guo, if anything breaks, I'll pay for it. Akiji and Garp both patted their thighs. Such a good opportunity was taken by that guy Sakaski. They all regretted not speaking first. Everyone came to the empty training ground together. Brother Sakaski, I wonder how many Seraphim of the Shichibukai level you are going to challenge. Xia Yu asked in a baby voice. Hearing Xia Yu, Akenu's eyes showed a burning look and he suddenly grinned. Humph, who are you looking down on, little brat? I'm going to beat 10 of them. Are you sure? Xia Yu showed an incredible expression. It seems that Sakaski really doesn't take his own Seraph seriously. Even if you possess the strongest strength among the 3 admirals, I'm afraid you still can't defeat the joint attack of the 10 Shichibukai, right? What's even more terrifying is that among his 7 warlords of the sea, there is also Hawkeye Mihawk, a top swordsman. The other people also looked at Sakaski and smiled bitterly. They still believed that Xia Yu could create a seraph with the strength of the 7 warlords of the sea. So they all silently mourned for Akenu. Akenu couldn't care less about all that. He finally had the chance to spar with the war machine he was interested in, so he naturally didn't want to give up any chance to fight with Seraph. This is also the code of conduct for Sakaski, a representative of the Hawk faction. Boy, as a representative of justice, how can you be so long-winded? Page 7. Come over here quickly, I can't wait any longer, Sakaski said indifferently. After hearing what Sakaski said, Xia Yu said nothing more and could only shake his head helplessly. The next moment, 10 Seraphim came out together and surrounded Akenu right in the middle. When Jan Guo saw this scene, he narrowed his eyes slightly. Both of you, please remember not to kill each other. Just decide who wins and who loses. I declare that the battle officially begins. Following Jan Guo's order, Seraph Bear took the lead in moving out ta-ta-tau with the sound of footsteps on the air, and using shaving, Tyrant Bear arrived in front of Akenu in just a moment. A bear paw shockwave was launched towards Akenu. Boom! A powerful force hit Akenu's left shoulder. Fortunately, Akenu's observation Haki sensed Seraph Bear's attack in advance. Otherwise I might really be successfully ambushed. Damn it, he's so fast. Akenu tilted his head and thought, and the next moment he exerted force with his shoulders, and Seraph Bear was bounced away by the powerful force. And at the moment when Akenu pushed the Seraph Bear away, 2 familiar figures appeared in front of him again. Seraph Doflamingo made a standard gun-pointing gesture. Bump. A silk thread with armed color domineering attached shot out quickly from the fingers of Seraph Doflamingo like a black snake. Everyone narrowed their eyes. He actually perfectly combined the Navy's 6-style finger gun with his own devil fruit ability to achieve even more powerful strength. The Seraph Sand Crocodile also jumped high at this moment. He kicked towards Akenu, and a crescent-shaped sand blade instantly appeared in the sky. Unlike ordinary vacuum waves, this vacuum wave also came with domineering and sand blade effects. Not only can it cause damage to the enemy, but more importantly, once the enemy is injured by you, It can quickly absorb all the moisture in the enemy's body, which naturally includes the enemy's blood. It's a terrifying move that can quickly turn the enemy into a mummy. Looking at the moves in front of him, Akainu frowned slightly. He activated his observation haki and quickly dodged. Rumble in an instant, two loud noises came from behind Akainu. Although the thread of the Seraph Doflamingo's finger gun looked narrow, it had great penetrating power and actually blasted a huge hole 1,000 meters deep on the naval training ground. The attack of the Seraph sand crocodile hit a garden in the naval base. Hundreds of acres of forest were cut in half in an instant. Afterwards, it completely dried up and turned into a desert area. Seeing such a shocking scene, the people around were all extremely shocked. Not only do they have the 6 styles of the Navy, they have also achieved a perfect combination of the 6 styles of the Navy and their own devil fruit abilities. Garp exclaimed with his eyes wide open. I didn't expect that the Navy's 6 styles, when combined with the power of the devil fruit, could actually unleash such a powerful force. Xia Yu showed an ecstatic look and said excitedly, "It's not over yet." The next moment, Seraph Hawkeye Mihawk, Empress Hancock, Gekko Mariah, Jinpei and others jumped up one after another. Everyone released their own attack. Powerful slashing waves, unexpected view domineering, various lasers and various attacks, everything was there, all heading towards Kasakaski. Looking at the attack in front of him, Akainu felt overwhelmed. I didn't expect that these little guys could work together so perfectly. At this moment, Sakaski did not dare to hold back at all and directly used all his strength. His arms turned into hot magma, and the surrounding air instantly rose by dozens of degrees, becoming extremely hot. Drops of magma slid down Akainu's arm. Hiss, 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 a puff of smoke appeared. Directly on the ground, huge holes were corroded out of thin air. Meteor volcano. Akainu roared. The next moment, all kinds of giant magma fists appeared in the sky like a meteor shower and blasted towards the Seraphim in front of them. After seeing this scene, Xia Yu was frightened. Hey, 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 Akainu, be careful, don't hurt them. Xia Yu shouted anxiously. Chapter 8 The 5 Elders detect Seraph. The praise from the people around me did not diminish, especially Xia Yu. His face was smiling like a flower at this moment. Ha ha ha. With such achievements, I can go to the 5 Elders. The issue of funding is no longer a problem at all. We must continue to increase the production of this kind of good stuff. This is the future of our Navy. Bullshit new era of pirates, the future is a new era for our Navy, ahaha. Xia Yu was extremely happy. Oh, are you going to the 5 Elders? They hold top-level power in their hands, and the resources and money they can mobilize are dozens of times more than those of the warring states marshals. I must seize such a good opportunity to ask for funding. Xia Yu was delighted and then spoke in a baby voice. Uncle Xia Yu, these Seraphim are not the strongest yet. I have almost cracked the Seraphim at the general level now. I think a general level Seraph can be completed ahead of schedule within a week. The reason why Xia Yu said it would take half a month was because he had no funds. Now I have 500 billion in funding in my hands. Not only can the system unlock more powerful technology, but my research and development time has also been greatly improved. Therefore, the general level Seraphim can be completed within a week. Oh, after hearing Xia Yu's words, Xia Yu was even more delighted. The Seraphim at the level of the 7 Warlords of the Sea alone is already powerful enough. Nowadays, even Admiral level Seraphim can be produced in advance. If only we could produce several general level Seraphim. Even the 4 Emperors, one of the 3 major powers in the world, can be shaken by the Navy. This is an incredible thing. Looking back over the past few hundred years around the world, the power of the Navy and pirates has risen and fallen. No one can completely destroy the other, so it is widely spread across the entire ocean that the friction between the 3 major forces, the Navy, the 4 Emperors, and the 7 Warlords of the Sea, maintains the balance of the ocean. But now Xia Yu wants to say, what a bullshit balance. It's just that the Navy itself lacks strength, so they say this. The future it won't be long. The Navy can completely eradicate the other two forces and restore peace to this ocean. By then, the whole world will undergo earth-shaking changes. It is my honor as a naval marshal to be able to witness this great event together. And what is totally unexpected is that the guy who caused such a huge change in the world is actually an 8-year-old kid. Even if this were written in history books, future generations probably wouldn't believe it, right? However, even though I witnessed such a terrifying 8-year-old ghost, I still find it a little unbelievable. It is completely understandable that later generations do not believe it. Looking at Xia Yu in front of him, Jian Guo was filled with emotion. The other higher-ranking naval officers also showed excited expressions. That is a general-level Seraphim, and its impact on the entire world is self-evident. Tsuru, Aikiji, and Garp all looked pleased. With Xia Yu as an ace, I wonder how pirates will be able to play against the Navy in the future. Kizaru was even more excited, and his emotions were beyond words. Even the general-level Seraphim have to be produced ahead of time. You are worthy of being my younger brother Xia Yu. Moreover, his younger brother mass-produced the Seraphs of the Seven Warlords of the Sea, and his contribution to the Navy was extremely significant. He is Xia Yu's biological brother, and he personally recommended Xia Yu to join the Naval Science and Technology Department. If that's the case, I actually have some credit for it. No, I have to have a good talk with Jian Guo later. He must give me an extra bonus for the recommendation. Thinking of this, Kizaru smiled even more happily. Red Earth Continent, Holy Land Mary Geo Eyes, inside the mysterious office villa. Page 8. 5 old men were sitting majestically in the middle of it. Their appearances were different. There was a slightly plump old man with white curly hair and a scar on the left side of his face, and there was also an old man with long straight white hair. The remaining 3 were also different. There was an old man with blonde hair and a scar on his chest, an old man with a mustache, and an old man holding a sword, wearing glasses and wearing a white kimono. Don't underestimate these 5 old men. Even the naval marshal has to obey their orders respectfully in front of them. They are the men standing at the pinnacle of power in the world government, the 5 elders. An intelligence soldier was kneeling in front of them, not daring to breathe. "Tell me, what's the matter?" asked the old man holding the knife, squinting his eyes. The intelligence soldier, as if granted amnesty, hurriedly spoke. "Report, Master 5 elders, Marshal Jian Guo and 10 children are here to report on their work." "Okay." As soon as these words were spoken, the eyes of the 5 old men all lit up, but then their expressions returned to normal. "Let them in," the 5 elders said lightly. "Yes." The intelligence soldier retreated, and the 5 old men looked at each other. They could see a hint of surprise in each other's eyes. As the 5 elders who stand at the pinnacle of naval power, they naturally know about Xia Yu. Before, Jian Guo had intended to reveal it and asked them to allocate funds, but they just perfunctorily gave the answer. If you want them to allocate funds, you can, but they must see the effect of Seraph. Now, only 3 days had passed when they heard the news that Jian Guo had come with 10 children, and they were all talking about it. "If it's a child, he's talking about Seraphim, right?" said the old man with a long white beard, squinting his eyes. "It is very likely. That's what Jian Guo told us back then. Seraphim are in the form of children, and there are 10 of them. Judging from this, they are naturally Seraphim, without a doubt," said the old man with white curly hair with certainty. "But it was built so quickly. The machine Jian Guo promised us would far surpass the pacifists' combat power. I still find it hard to believe that an 8-year-old kid could create a war machine more powerful than Vegapunk." The old man holding the knife looked disbelieving and kept shaking his head. "Yeah, this sounds a bit too far-fetched. Vegapunk has been ahead of the world in technology for 500 years. How could he be surpassed by a little kid? I don't believe it." said the blond old man with a look of contempt. That being said, I do know that Jian Guo. If he wasn't sure, I don't think he would have the nerve to come see us. We'll know once Jian Guo arrives, said the old man with a mustache in a deep voice. And, just as they were discussing, Jian Guo quickly came in front of them, and with Jian Guo came 10 Seraphim behind him. Meet the 5 elders. These 10 child mode machines behind me are the Seraphim I told you about before. Please check, Jian Guo said with a happy expression. It can be seen that Jian Guo is very confident about the 10 war machines he brought. Chapter 9 Affirmation from the 5 Elders. The rule of the celestial dragons is secure. The 5 elder stars also looked majestically in the direction of the Seraph. There are 7 of them. All of them look like the Shichibukai when they were young. Furthermore, even the appearances of the 3 generals appeared. Gray skin, black wings entwined with flames. Apparently, it has the bloodline of the Lunaria family. Not bad, not bad, the 5 elders nodded slightly. However, appearance alone certainly cannot explain anything. Then, the old man with long white hair spoke majestically. It's not enough to just look good. What about their combat effectiveness? Warring states. After hearing the words of the 5 elders, Jian Guo raised the corner of his mouth slightly, but did not say much. Just wait until I unleash the full power of the Seraph. When I do, I'll shock you 5 old men to death. And my funding is now settled. He brought the 5 elders to the training ground next to the villa. At the instruction of Jian Guo, the Seraphim began their performance. First of all, there was the laser, which was basically the same as the pacifist's laser, and the 5 elders did not show any emotional fluctuations. Then came powerful force and speed. 10 Seraphim, under the command of Jian Guo, set out together. All I could hear was the sound of feet stepping on the air. In just a moment, they all arrived near a rockery in the training ground. Then, they all pointed their fingers at the huge rockery. The next moment, 10 air shock waves shot out from their fingers. Boom, boom, boom! Exclamation! All the powerful force bombarded the rockery, and the previously unpredictable rockery collapsed instantly. Not even a piece of stone was left behind. All were blown into powder. Seeing such terrifying power, the 5 elder stars snorted one by one. Okay. You know, these rockery are made of the strongest stones that the 5 elders bought from all over the world at great expense. Unexpectedly, he was blasted into powder by these 10 little guys in an instant. This terrible destruction has reached the level of Lieutenant General, which is much more powerful than a pacifist. The power is quite strong. Moreover, he has mastered the 6 styles of the Navy. Not bad. The old man in kimono couldn't help but admire. This is just the beginning. Next, show your healing ability. Jian Guo was delighted. This was a good start. Wouldn't you guys be shocked soon? After receiving the order from Jian Guo, the Seraphim attacked each other, leaving wounds, which then healed within a second. A robot actually possesses the blood that humans can possess. Also, the healing ability is so strong, it feels like I ate an animal. The 5 elders looked surprised and puzzled and spoke with shocked eyes. It's really hard to believe that such powerful war machines were really invented by children. However, the facts were right in front of them, and they had no choice but to believe it. Good, good. This kind of machine is the first time I've encountered it. It's indeed much more powerful than Vegapunk's pacifist. A light appeared in the eyes of the blond old man, and he said excitedly, "Well, the pacifist has a huge flaw. Once damaged, it's very difficult to heal. This Seraph is not only powerful, but also solves the technical problem of the war machine being difficult to repair." Very good. The slightly plump old man with curly white hair nodded with satisfaction. The other 5 elder stars also had happy expressions on their faces and praised the Seraphim. It seems that the funds for the Warring States period can be allocated. Not only that, these are just basic abilities. Their real combat power can reach the level of 7 Warlords of the Sea. Sengoku said with a smile. At the beginning, Zhangyuo left himself a trick. When he made promises to the 5 elders, he did not say everything, but said that his machine could far surpass the pacifists. He did not say that his machine could reach the level of the 7 warlords of the sea. After hearing Zhangyuo's words, the 5 elders were stunned for a moment, and then they stood up from their seats one by one. This is beyond the pacifist, isn't it true strength? Besides, what did you just tell us, that your combat power can reach the level of the 7 warlords of the sea? You didn't promise us at the beginning that we could reach the level of Shichibukai. What does it mean to be able to reach the level of the 7 warlords of the sea? As the 5 elders at the pinnacle of power, they naturally know better than anyone else. That means the entire ocean and the 3 major forces will be reshuffled, and the entire world will undergo major changes. Are we sure we didn't hear it wrong? Are you serious about reaching the level of the 7 warlords? The 5 elders asked suspiciously. They all suspected that they had heard it wrong, so they said it again to confirm. Zhangyuo smiled slightly. Of course. I can guarantee with my position as marshal that what I said is absolutely true, Zhangyuo said confidently. After repeated confirmation, the 5 old men were all shocked, and each of them showed joy on their face. Then tell me, what's so special about them? Come on, let us take a good look. The 5 elder stars looked expectant. If it is really as Zhangyuo said, then the entire navy and the celestial dragons can also be greatly protected. It can even make sure that there will be no more rebels. This is a great invention. Zhangyuo adjusted his navy uniform, then smiled calmly and spoke softly. They also possess dual-color haki, as well as the devil fruit abilities wielded by the former Shichibukai. Exclamation what? 2-color domineering, devil fruit also has it? Exclamation after hearing Zhangyuo's words, the 5 old men widened their eyes and showed an expression of great surprise. Page 9. The expressions on everyone's faces were shocking to the extreme. 2-color domineering, devil fruit, cold machine, can actually be possessed. Doesn't that mean that these machines themselves are the 7 warlords of the sea? Wrong. The 7 warlords of the sea may not necessarily obey orders, but these robots absolutely obey orders. For the Navy, these Seraphim are much more important than the 7 warlords of the sea. How can this be? This is a bit too far-fetched. Seeing the 5 elders being so shocked by his words, Zhangyuo laughed in his heart. What a bunch of old men who have never seen the world. I've completely forgotten how exaggerated my expression was when I first saw the Seraphim display this terrifying ability. It was even more exaggerated than that of the 5 elders. I have verified this myself. Seraphim, show your dual-color dominance, Zhangyuo ordered. The next moment, the 10 little guys all grew pitch-black armor on their arms. The 5 elders naturally knew that this was the color of armament. Moreover, judging from the grade of the armament colors they produce, they are not low. The next moment, 2 by 2, they launched their attacks on each other. For a moment, the entire training ground was filled with Yuo's domineering aura. However, these Seraphim were able to dodge every attack skillfully. Even the 5 elders are men who stand at the pinnacle of power. At this moment, everyone opened their mouths in surprise and stood there in a daze. 2-color domineering, really mastered the 2-color domineering. What's even more terrifying is that their level of domineering is extremely high, completely reaching the level of the 7 warlords of the sea. Looking at the appearance of the 5 elder stars, Zhangyuo curled up the corners of his mouth slightly and continued to speak. Seraphim, show us your devil fruit abilities. The next moment, the Seraphim used their devil fruit abilities one after another. There are magma power, flash power, freezing power, line power, petrification power. The 5 elder stars were dazzled. They were all swallowing their saliva frantically, their hands were shaking with excitement, and their facial expressions were shocked to the extreme. He even possessed the power of a devil fruit. The 5 elders excitedly picked up the water cups on the table and started drinking tea frantically to calm themselves down. No matter how good this thing is, it is not good for them, as men at the pinnacle of power, to behave so emotionally in front of their subordinates. After much effort, I finally managed to calm down. Yes, these little guys do have the qualities of the 7 warlords of the sea. Wait a minute. In fact, they have a special cooperative skill that can withstand the full force attack of the admirals or even the 4 emperors. Jan Guo said with a grin. Chapter 10. The 5 elders are confused. Vegapunk is surpassed by an 8-year-old kid. The 5 elders, who had not yet swallowed their tea, could no longer hold back after hearing these words, and they all spat out the tea in their mouths. Jan Guo, you bastard, can you please finish what you want to say at once? The 5 elders noticed their own loss of composure and said depressedly one by one. If it weren't for the fact that these 5 old men took good care of themselves, they would have had a heart attack at such an old age. Jan Guo pretended to be frightened, but he was laughing in his heart. Sorry, this is exactly the effect I want. Are you all so ecstatic inside? Why are you pretending to be calm? However, Jan Guo would naturally not express these thoughts. I'm sorry, Master 5 Elders, please forgive me. The main thing is that this Seraph has too many abilities. It's hard to describe them all at once, Jan Guo said cunningly. Puff cough. Be careful, don't break them. The 5 elders coughed dryly, then signaled Jan Guo to show them. Under Jan Guo's command, the Seraphim stood one by one and stacked up to form an R-hat, and Jan Guo personally demonstrated it for the 5 elders. He immediately activated his great Buddha form, and a dazzling yellow light filled the entire space. The next moment, a huge Buddha shockwave rushed directly towards the Seraphim. Feeling the powerful strength of the warring states, the 5 elders spoke in unison. This Jan Guo guy is serious. He even used the Buddha palm shockwave. Bastard Jan Guo, if you destroy even one of these seraphs, we will not forgive you. The 5 elders were all extremely nervous. In fact, the strength displayed by the Seraphim before had far exceeded their expectations. So even if the warring states does not demonstrate a powerful combined defense, they will definitely allocate funds to the warring states. Now the only thing they are worried about is that Jan Guo doesn't accidentally destroy their seraph. These seraphs are related to the future of the Navy and even the world government. They must not be allowed to suffer any damage, not even damage caused by testing. When the powerful Buddha's shockwave was about to hit the Seraphim, the 10 Seraphim raised their hands one after another. The next moment, an invisible defensive barrier formed around their bodies. Boom! Powerful shockwaves exploded completely around their bodies. Under the powerful force of love, even the earth is shaken. The terrifying aftermath surged in all directions. On the training ground, a large number of trees and houses were instantly reduced to nothingness under the shockwave. The enormous force caused the surrounding dust to rise completely at this moment. The 5 elders craned their necks, looking in the direction of the seraph with nervous expressions. The dust settled, and 10 seraphim finally appeared in the sight of the 5 elder stars. They looked the same as before, without any scars on their bodies, and not even dust had fallen on their bodies. Success! Exclamation Gulu. The 5 elders could no longer hold back at this moment. They swallowed their saliva frantically and stood there in a daze. It took a long time before I came to my senses. He actually blocked it. That was a fatal blow from the Admiral. Even though it was a combination skill, it was still shocking enough. It's so terrifying. Is this really a machine that humans can create? What a genius the guy who built these machines is. I can foresee that with these Seraphim, this sea will be much more peaceful. Until now, I still feel like I'm dreaming after being shocked again and again by these machines. The expressions of these 5 elder stars were extremely complicated. Are we dreaming? The combined defense was able to withstand even the full force attack of the Navy Admiral. Is this really a war machine that an 8-year-old child can develop? If this is true, then there is no doubt that this kid's technological capabilities will surpass Vegapunk. Who is Vegapunk? He was the world's #1 scientist, known as the man who was 500 years ahead of the world in technology. Now I have been surpassed by an 8-year-old kid. If I tell others about this, who would believe it? Not to mention that others don't believe it. Even now they still find it hard to believe that this machine could be invented by an 8-year-old kid. Xia Yu, was this Seraph really invented by Kizaru's younger brother Xia Yu, that 8-year-old kid? An 8-year-old kid. I'm afraid his brain hasn't developed yet. He can actually create such a terrifying war machine. The 5 elders asked with suspicion and shock. Although they had already heard from Xia Yu that Xia Yu had created a powerful war machine. However, they really didn't expect that this machine would be so powerful that it could change the entire ocean system. So they couldn't help but ask. The arc of Xia Yu's mouth was almost reaching the sky. Looking at the expressions of the 5 elders, they are exactly the same as my own appearance back then. It seems that the time is almost right. It's time to tell the purpose of my visit. This was naturally made by Xia Yu. I saw it with my own eyes, Xia Yu said truthfully. Moreover, according to Xia Yu, these Seraphim are not the strongest. With his technological means, he can create a Seraph of the general level. What? The 5 elders all widened their eyes. A general level Seraphim can actually be developed. This time, the values of the 5 elders were completely shocked. When did it become so easy to develop a war machine? Even though he was a pacifist, it took Vegapunk, the world's top scientist at the time, 2 full years to develop it. An 8-year-old kid could create a Seraph of the 7 Warlords level, which was already shocking to them. It was really unexpected that this 8-year-old kid could even create a Seraph of the Admiral level. How long? Asked the 5 elders in surprise. Page 10. This would be possible if we could create and mass-produce Admiral-level Seraphim within a year. Undoubtedly, the Navy will be able to look down on everyone by then. Even if it is the 4 emperors of this world, if the Navy is not happy with them, it can completely eradicate them. If the Seraphim at the level of the 7 Warlords of the sea can break the balance of the ocean, then the Seraphim at the level of the Admiral will make this world have only one force from now on, and that is the Navy. It's hard to say, but Xia Yu has already said that it will definitely not exceed this number. Xia Yu raised one of his fingers and muttered. After seeing Xia Yu's gesture, the 5 elders showed satisfied expressions. Can it really be produced in 1 year? God bless my holy land, Mary Geo eyes. Ha ha ha. A year? What the hell? Are you underestimating Xia Yu a little too much? Xia Yu smiled bitterly. Master 5 elders, I think you have misunderstood me. Not within a year, but within a week. Xia Yu said that it would only take a few days, or at most a week, to successfully develop a general-level Seraph. In less than a week. So fast? Exclamation. The 5 elders all widened their eyes, their faces filled with disbelief. Xia Yu's talent is even more terrifying than Vegapunk's. Back then, Vegapunk was just creating a pacifist. Both the R&D funding and R&D time were much greater than Xia Yu's. An 8-year-old kid actually has such a terrifying IQ. So terrifying. After hearing what Xia Yu said, the corners of the 5 elder stars' mouths slightly raised, revealing a happy smile. In this way, the day when the Navy sweeps across the entire ocean will come in a few days. The 5 elders were naturally extremely excited and filled with ecstasy. Looking at the excited expressions of the 5 elders, Xia Yu hurriedly stepped forward. Technically, there is no problem, but there is still a practical problem. As the saying goes, even a penny can make a hero fall. The Navy's budget is too limited. The funds for researching the Shichibukai-level Seraphim were squeezed out of the money we used to buy warships, so this is a general-level Seraph. The 5 elders smiled at each other and waved their hands. No matter how difficult it is, we must develop a general-level Seraph. How much money will it cost? The 5 elders asked curiously. Chapter 11. Taking hundreds of billions of funds from the 5 elders, there was a cunning glint in Xia Yu's eyes. A Shichibukai-level Seraph costs 20 billion to produce. An Admiral level one doesn't cost much either, costing 100 billion. However, These figures are based on countless failed experiments. The research and development funds for countless failures are the bulk of the funding. The five elders naturally understood this. Back then, Vegapunk spent 500 billion berries just to develop the pacifist. Now, this Seraph would probably be even more expensive. This kind of black technology is very expensive, I understand. However, pirate forces are on the rise now, and we have indeed spent a lot of money to suppress pirates around the world. We are still having some difficulties in finding funds. Look, how about we give you 1,000 billion billy first? 500 billion billy will be used for your research and development, and the remaining 500 billion billy will be used to create 27 Warlords of the Sea Seraphim and 1 Admiral-level Seraphim. The five elders asked tentatively. After all, no one's money comes from the wind, so we should save as much as possible. Of course, this money is only temporary. Let Xia Yu start the research and development first. We can talk about the money for mass production of Admiral Seraph later. The five elders were afraid of offending Xia Yu, so they hurriedly reminded him. This money is only temporary. After the Admiral-level Seraphim is successfully developed and the five elders personally test it, they will naturally give Xia Yu more research and development funds to mass-produce Admiral-level Seraphim. After hearing the words of the five elders, Zhang Guo was extremely excited. This way, all the money he had paid for was recovered. Moreover, it can also secure tens of billions of baileys of funds for Xia Yu. The five elders wanted to create a general-level Seraphim first, which was completely reasonable. After all, they have never seen an Admiral-level Seraphim, so it is understandable that they are skeptical about it. Once the Admiral-level Seraphim comes out, I don't believe that these old foxes will not pay for it. Then I would like to thank the five elders on behalf of Xia Yu. Zhang Guo appeared neither humble nor arrogant, but he was very happy in his heart. Seeing that Zhang Guo had no objection, the five elders also breathed a sigh of relief. To be honest, 1,000 billion baileys is just the lowest price they offered. Such a powerful war machine is dozens of times more powerful than the pacifist, so it is certainly not worth just the price. Zhang Guo was about to leave, but was called back by the five elders. Don't leave yet. There is still one more task that needs to be assigned to your navy. The five elders regained their former majestic look. Oh, Zhang Guo turned around, somewhat surprised. The five elders continued to speak. There's a guy named Blackbeard who captured Ace and threatened to use Ace to exchange for our position as a Shichibukai. The day after tomorrow, at Bana Island on the Grand Line, meet him. Fire Fist Ace. Zhang Guo's eyes instantly became serious. That was the bloodline of that terrifying pirate King Roger. If he is arrested, the significance to the Navy will be extremely important. Humph, don't you know who you are and how dare you negotiate with us? We believe that with the Seraphs, the 7 Warlords of the Sea are no longer necessary. Bring Ace here. If Blackbeard doesn't obey, just kill him. I think we should take the Seraphim to solve this matter, said the five elders majestically. Little did he know that the arrival of the 7 Warlords of the Sea Seraphs would change Blackbeard's fate. Having been in the officialdom for so many years, Zhang Guo naturally saw through the minds of the five elders. Do they want to see how the Seraphim perform in actual combat? No matter how powerful a robot is, if it fails in actual combat, it will undoubtedly still be a pile of scrap metal. The five elders' concerns are understandable. It seems that the person who is sent on this mission must be a weak navy, so that the five elders will feel that they are not cheating clear. After receiving the mission, Zhang Guo left the Holy Land of Mary Geoise. At the same time, in the secret office of the G5 branch, Virgo was the first to report the news about the Shichibuka-level Seraph test to Doflamingo. Reporting to the young master, the new Seraphs have been successfully mass-produced, a total of 10 units. Without exception, they have all reached the level of the 7 Warlords of the Sea. Virgo reported seriously. Doflamingo, who was in the Dressrosa Palace, heard this and gritted his teeth before falling silent. Next to him are the family's top officials, the snotty-nosed user of the sticky fruit, Treball, and the user of the stone fruit, Pika, who has a sturdy body but a shrill voice like a woman. After hearing Virgo's report, both of them widened their eyes and opened their mouths exaggeratedly. They had heard the young master talk about this matter before. However, they believed that the war machines at the level of the Seven Warlords of the Sea were most likely fake and did not take them seriously. Everything will become clear when the new machine is tested. I thought the result of this test would be a failure. Unexpectedly, Xia Yu really succeeded. Moreover, 10 units were produced at once, each of which was at the level of Shichibukai. This completely shocked them. What did you say, Virgo? A Shichibukai-level machine, and they developed 10 of them at once. This is too exaggerated. Torpal said exaggeratedly with his nose running. Yes, Caesar said it's impossible. Even Vegapunk couldn't develop so many terrifying Seraphim in such a short time. Could it be that Xia Yu, an 8-year-old child, is God? Pai Kai asked in a shrill voice, with a look of shock on his face. Even Doflamingo was a little skeptical. After all, it had only been 3 days since the last report. Such a terrifying war machine was mass-produced in just 3 days. And they all succeeded? Virgo, how credible is this news? Doflamingo asked with a frown. I happened to be on duty during the test, so I saw with my own eyes how powerful the Seraph was. Even Sakaski, the strongest of the 3 admirals, was clearly at a disadvantage when facing 10 Seraphim. Even his ultimate move, Hellhound, which is said to be able to penetrate the 4 emperors, was blocked by the combined defense of the Seraphim. These war machines are truly terrifying, Virgo said solemnly. The top officers Pika and Treball still didn't believe what Virgo said. They were about to retort, but were stopped by Doflamingo. I understand, Virgo. Chapter 12. Let's leave it at that for now. Don't let the Navy find out. Virgo on the other end of the phone sighed and then hung up. Chapter 12. Kill Blackbeard. New reward. Cosmic Tree Young Master. You have to think carefully about where our Don Quixote family should go from now on inside Dressrosa. After Doflamingo hung up the phone, the veins on his forehead bulged tightly. Young Master, I still don't quite believe this kind of thing. Young Master, are you okay? Torpal and Pika asked with concern. Virgo wouldn't make a mistake on such an important matter. You guys go down first, I need to be alone. Doflamingo said tiredly, stroking his forehead. After the 2 of them went down, Doflamingo's expression became extremely ferocious. Damn it! Because of this kid named Xia Yu, the new era has arrived early. The Shichibukai system has absolutely no need to continue. I have to plan ahead at the naval headquarters. After finishing his own affairs, Zhang Guo went to Xia Yu's laboratory in the afternoon. This time the Navy is going to use Seraph to complete the mission, so it's better to tell Xia Yu. Moreover, he had obtained 100 billion berries of funds from the 5 Elder Stars. Zhang Guo couldn't wait to tell Xia Yu this good news. After learning that Dr. Xia Yu was still busy, Zhang Guo signaled the other lieutenant generals on duty not to disturb him. If this delays Xia Yu's research and development, I can't bear the consequences. It was not until the evening, without even having eaten, that Xia Yu walked out of the laboratory, sweating profusely. Although he looked very tired, it was also obvious that Xia Yu was in a very happy mood. Ha ha ha. The Admiral-level Seraphim. This technology is progressing very smoothly. It will be ready in 2 days. Xia Yu said happily. Okay. After hearing Xia Yu's words, Zhang Guo's mouth almost curled up to the sky. This is really double happiness. Although there is no rush, the sooner everyone's level of Seraphim can be born, the sooner the Navy can completely dominate the sea. That's perfect. Xia Yu, I also have some good news to tell you. I had a very pleasant meeting with the 5 elders. They have agreed to pay 1,000 billion berries as funding for your research, including the Seraphim you have already mass-produced. You only need to produce a total of 20 Shichibukai Seraphim and 1 Admiral-level Seraphim within a week. Look, do you have enough time? Zhang Guo said truthfully. As a naval marshal, Zhang Guo would never do such a thing as embezzling the research and development funds of his subordinates. If I delay Xia Yu's research progress, I might become a sinner of our navy, recorded in history. Ah, that's great. Uncle Zhang Guo. Don't worry, I will definitely complete the task. The additional 10 Shichibukai-level Seraphim will be ready tonight, Xia Yu said in a baby voice with an excited look on his face. With 100 billion in funding, I can start developing new technology. Zhang Guo also showed a look of satisfaction. This manufacturing speed is definitely acceptable. After talking with Xia Yu, Zhang Guo looked at the mole beside him. Lieutenant General Mole, there is something I need to entrust to you. That is, a guy named Blackbeard recently appeared on the sea. That guy actually captured Ace, and he threatened to trade Ace with our navy in exchange for the position of Shichibukai. The time is the day after tomorrow. The location is Bana Island on the Grand Line, Zhang Guo murmured. Hearing this, Lieutenant General Mole couldn't help but be surprised. When did such a person appear on the sea, and even captured Ace? When Ace was still a rookie, he refused the appointment as a Shichibukai, and the mole had a deep impression of him. Ace, that's the bloodline of Pirate King Roger. Executing him would mean a lot to the world. This will allow newcomers who want to join the pirates to better understand the fate of those who dream of becoming the Pirate King. Don't tell anyone about Ace's life story. Hearing these words, Vice Admiral Mole's pupils shrank noticeably. He didn't expect that Ace's life experience was so complicated. I understand. I will definitely make this deal. Lieutenant General Mole saluted and said solemnly. Transaction? Hearing what Lieutenant General Mole said, Zhang Guo sneered. There's no such thing as a deal. The Shichibukai system is no longer necessary. How can we possibly train another Shichibukai? But I heard that he and Ace were both on the Whitebeard Pirates ship. If we use a guy like him who betrayed his brothers, he will betray us sooner or later. Just bring Ace back. If Blackbeard refuses to obey, just kill him with Seraph, Zhang Guo said coldly. Upon hearing this, Lieutenant General Mole, Lieutenant General Fire Mountain, Lieutenant General Giant, and Lieutenant General Basti were all shocked. However, they soon reacted. Today, the Navy has Xia Yu, a powerful weapon. The war weapons he researched can completely replace the combat effectiveness of the 7 Warlords of the Sea. Forget the 7 Warlords of the Sea. Once the Seraphs of the Admiral level are developed, even the 4 Emperors will have no need to exist. Naturally, they are all old headquarters with their own professional ethics, and this information will not be disclosed. Yes. Lieutenant General Mole saluted. Ding dong. Detected the system's hated character Blackbeard. Mission triggered. Lead your Seraphs, kill Blackbeard, and be rewarded with the cosmic tree. The tree of the universe. Xia Yu licked his tongue unconsciously. That's high-end technology that can only be unlocked with a funding of 50 million Baileys. From the introduction, you can roughly understand that this tree will bear strange fruits every certain period of time. These strange fruits will give you magical powers after eating them. It sounds very similar to the devil fruit tree, but in fact it is a more powerful existence than the devil fruit tree. First, the fruits produced by the devil fruit tree will be scattered all over the world uncontrollably, while the fruits produced by the cosmic tree can be completely controlled by oneself. Second, the devil fruit tree can only produce devil fruits from the pirate world and the cosmic tree. In addition to producing devil fruits, it is also possible to produce strange fruits with abilities that do not belong to this world. The specific abilities were not introduced, but Xia Yu understood that it was very likely an ability from another dimension. In this case, this tree is too scary. It's indeed a high-end technology that costs 50 million Baileys to buy one with such temptation right in front of him. Xia Yu naturally couldn't resist it. Uncle Zhang Guo, please take me with you. A childish voice came. It was naturally Xia Yu's voice. The other people looked over. Xia Yu was actually going to complete the task. But, don't you have to do scientific research? Although you can finish the work of the Shichibukai level Seraph today, don't forget that there is an even more important Admiral level Seraph if you go with them. I'm afraid it will affect your research and development progress. Xia Yu. Zhang Guo showed a worried expression. At the same time, Zhang Guo also began to sigh. No matter how smart he is, he still has the heart of a child. As for the entire world government, they are all waiting for the good news of Xia Yu's successful research and development. We absolutely cannot let Xia Yu complete such a small task and delay the important scientific research. Uncle Zhang Guo, you don't know that. In a sense, the general level Seraphim has just been conquered by me. Xia Yu said with a smile. What? Already conquered? Chapter 13. 10 more Seven Warlords of the Sea Seraphs. Zhang Guo widened his eyes. Isn't this a bit too exaggerated? It seems that when I told the 5 elders that it would take a week for the Admiral-level Seraphim to come into being, I was overstating the matter. I really don't know what kind of weird ideas are in Xia Yu's head, but that's not right. Page 12. Didn't Xia Yu just say that it would take 2 days to produce? Zhang Guo suddenly remembered what Xia Yu had said before. Looking at Zhang Guo's suspicious expression, Xia Yu guessed the doubts in Zhang Guo's mind at a glance and continued to speak. The reason why it took 2 days for a Grand Admiral-level Seraphim to emerge was because the bloodline factor in the culture dish had not yet fully merged with the Grand Admiral-level Seraphim. Once the mission is completed, when I come back in 2 days, the Seraphim will be completely integrated with the bloodline factor. I don't need to operate it at all. The Admiral-level Seraphim will be automatically produced successfully. Xia Yu explained in a baby voice. I see. It's actually possible to make machines produce automatically. Xia Yu is indeed in this case. There is no need to worry about the progress of research and development. Zhang Guo stood there, silent, thinking. Seeing that there was a chance, Xia Yu continued to increase his persuasiveness. So, I actually have nothing to do these 2 days, so just let me go, Uncle Zhang Guo. Besides, I'm not a robot after all. After a long period of scientific research, my brain needs to relax. If I don't relax, I will make mistakes when doing scientific research. This time, the mistake will cost 10 billion Baileys in research and development funds, Xia Yu said cunningly with a sly glint in his eyes. 10 billion mistakes at once. Zhang Guo swallowed hard. My goodness, if you make a mistake, it will cost you more than my lifetime pension. Although the money is not mine, I still can't bear to see such wasteful behavior. 10 billion Baileys, if there is money to continue research and development, even if it is to buy 10 giant warships for the Navy after much thought. Okay, I promise. However, I must also be responsible for your safety. Except for Vice Admiral Mole, you can take all 10 Seraphs. 10 Seraphs are capable of killing Akainu in seconds. With them by his side, Xia Yu's safety can be guaranteed even if he clashes with the 4 emperors. There are so many. Isn't it a bit troublesome? Xia Yu said in surprise. As for Blackbeard at this time, Xia Yu thought that with 3 or 4 Seraphs, he could be beaten to a pulp. Absolutely not. You are extremely important to the Navy, and nothing can happen to you. Zhang Guo refused very straightforwardly. This kid Xia Yu is related to the future of the Navy. If I wasn't afraid that the 5 elders would think I was cheating, I would have brought a general to protect Xia Yu. Letting Xia Yu go is already the biggest concession, and I can no longer compromise. Therefore, there is no room for negotiation. Xia Yu must not be allowed to take any risks. Okay, when do we leave? Xia Yu narrowed his eyes. Let's go early tomorrow morning. Although you have a special passage for the Navy to go to Bana Island and don't need to dive to the bottom of the sea like pirates to affect your speed, it will still take at least a day, Zhang Guo said with narrowed eyes. Bro, I will take these 10 Seraphim without hesitation. But don't worry, Uncle Zhang Guo. I will work overtime tonight to make 10 more Seraphim and give them to you before leaving. You can use them as you like, Xia Yu said confidently. Now, I am just waiting to complete the task to obtain the Tree of the Universe. After returning, I can bring the Admiral-level Seraphim with me and continue to cheat for more funds. Simply delicious. Xia Yu, in a good mood, decided to let Zhang Guo have some fun with these 10 Seraphim. In fact, Xia Yu naturally saw that Zhang Guo and other high-ranking naval officers were itching to take the Seraphim to kill everyone. Since I have taken away all the Seraphim, and the Navy still wants to use them, isn't that simple? Manufacturing. How can we be without our own funding if we work with the world government? Sure enough, just as Xia Yu expected, after hearing Xia Yu's words, Zhang Guo showed an excitement that was difficult to conceal. Really? That's great. Xiao Xia Yu. You must watch this place carefully and don't let anyone disturb our doctor. Xia Yu. After saying that, Zhang Guo said goodbye and left, and Xia Yu also started his overtime career. It was not until the next morning that Xia Yu walked out of his laboratory with dark circles under his eyes. The 10 Seven Warlords of the Sea Seraphs have finally been created. 2 days later, on the Grand Line, on the island of Barnabas, Sniper Fan Oka put down the sniper scope in his hand and smiled. Captain, the Navy has finally arrived as promised. After hearing this, Ballas, Poison Q, Lafitte, and others took out their binoculars and looked over. Sure enough, a huge Navy warship was rapidly moving towards them. Thief, ha ha ha, my plan is one step closer. Get ready to welcome the Navy, Blackbeard said with a laugh. For the conspirator Blackbeard, the title of Shichibukai is just one step in his plan to dominate the world. He has even greater ambitions. Using the identity of Shichibukai, he sneaks into the underwater prison and obtains more powerful partners. His real ambition is to get involved in the Great War, obtain the power of Whitebeard's Tremor fruit, and finally become one of the 4 emperors, or even become the Pirate King, and obtain the coveted treasure. As the warships continued to approach, both sides could probably see each other's faces clearly. The mole narrowed his eyes and stared at Blackbeard. Black beard, bloated body, black chest hair, and a few missing teeth. That guy with the black beard must be the powerful pirate Blackbeard who was able to capture Ace, right? I have to say he looks really wretched. The mole sighed. As a time traveler himself, Xia Yu was very familiar with the appearance of Blackbeard and others, so naturally he did not react too much. As for the Blackbeard pirates, their surprise was much more exaggerated than that of Vice Admiral Mole and his crew. That's the Lieutenant General called Mole, right? I've heard of him. But what about the 11 children next to Vice Admiral Mole? Blackbeard narrowed his eyes, looking confused. Even if the Navy is short of people, it's impossible to let a group of 8 or 9-year-old kids carry out the mission, right? Humph, he's just a vice admiral of the Navy. The others have no combat capability at all. Aren't you afraid that we will deliberately use Ace as a bait to snatch them away? Lafitte showed a disdainful smile. Damn Navy, we captured Ace for them, and they dare to look down on us like this. Badgers said angrily. Captain, they dare to send a group of children to trade with us. Shouldn't we teach these arrogant sailors a lesson? Fan Oka said proudly. Blackbeard naturally did not take the Navy seriously. Moreover, the Navy sent so many children to trade with him this time, looking down on his behavior, and Blackbeard also remembered it in his heart. He sat directly on a rock, drank some prang, and crossed his legs. In view of the arrogance of the Navy this time, I have made a last-minute decision to seize their warships. Ha 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 ha. Navy headquarters, a great battle with Whitebeard is imminent, and our strength is needed. I guess they won't care too much if we take one of their warships, Blackbeard said arrogantly. The other crew members also laughed arrogantly. Chapter 14, The Arrogant Blackbeard Pirates. Just kids, Captain, you should have changed our means of transportation long ago. A raft doesn't match the glorious title of Shichibukai we're about to receive, haha. Navy warships, if modified, can actually be used as our means of transportation. The huge warship finally docked. Lieutenant General Mole, Xia Yu walked up step by step. They only sent a vice admiral, without even bringing the Marines. Aren't you afraid that our Blackbeard pirates will play a trick on you? Seeing everyone coming, Blackbeard said with a smile, full of provocation. The other crew members also looked extremely arrogant and did not take Vice Admiral Mole seriously at all. Ace on the side also looked over. I underestimated Blackbeard, this ambitious man. I wonder if this crazy guy will also plunder the Navy headquarters warships this time. Seeing the arrogant attitude of the Blackbeard pirates, Vice Admiral Mole reached for his sword, but was stopped by Xia Yu. Or let's get Ace first. This way I can rest assured and complete my massacre of the Blackbeard pirates. Page 13. Faced with Blackbeard's provocation, Xia Yu chose to ignore it and looked at the dying Ace. You are Ace, right? The descendant of Pirate King Roger. Xia Yu said in a baby voice, like a little adult. Ace was slightly surprised. Lieutenant General Mole didn't say anything, but this little kid spoke up, and there was no discomfort in Lieutenant General Mole's eyes at all. It seems that this guy's rank is higher than that of Lieutenant General Mole, but now Ace is in trouble himself and can't care about so many things. Stupid Navy, kill me if you dare, Ace said angrily. Sorry, I can't do this. Xia Yu waved his hand. The members of the Blackbeard pirates were all stunned. Why does it feel like this 8-year-old kid has such great authority? Vice Admiral Mole is actually this brat's subordinate. A veteran Navy Vice Admiral actually takes orders from an 8-year-old kid. There is only one possibility. This kid must be some arrogant kid like the son of an official. He has no real strength, but he relies on his family to show off his power. I don't know how many of these arrogant and incompetent second-generation officials I have killed in the Grand Line. After a look of surprise, Blackbeard and the others immediately revealed a mocking expression. Ha ha ha, interesting, looks like you're the one in charge of this mission, kid. Do you need me to buy you some candy? Ha ha ha, Blackbeard said with a big laugh. The other younger brothers also followed Whitebeard in making fun of him. Your Navy, no wonder you haven't been able to suppress the rise of pirate power for so many years. Looks like there's really no one left. How could such a little brat be a big shot in your Navy? Vice Admiral Mole, being suppressed by a powerless brat like this, it must be hard for you, right? How about joining us pirates? We pirates have much more freedom than the Navy, without so many rules and regulations. Ha ha ha. A kid of 8 or 9 actually dares to trade with our Blackbeard pirates. You really have guts. Don't cry later. Faced with Blackbeard's repeated ridicule, the mole could no longer bear it. However, Marshal Zhang Guo had said in advance that Seraphim must be allowed to take action to test Seraphim's actual combat capabilities. Xia Yu is here, and these Seraphim were all invented by Xia Yu, so the mole didn't say much. Who said that our Navy is empty? There are so many strong people, can't you see them? Xia Yu said lightly. Xia Yu didn't look angry at all. In his eyes, Blackbeard and the others were just some corpses that could move temporarily. Let them jump around for a while. It can be considered as a gift to them. After hearing Xia Yu's words, the Blackbeard pirates and others looked over. Including Xia Yu, there was a child of 8 or 9 years old. They all covered their stomachs and laughed again. Ha ha ha, kid, maybe the so-called strong people you mentioned are only stronger in front of you. Blackbeard laughed obscenely. Yeah, kid, maybe all of these so-called strong men you mentioned can be killed by your uncle with just one punch. Badgers shook his fist as big as a casserole and said viciously, after killing you little devils, stewing them into soup is perfect. Raphael made a face like a frightened child and threatened. Faced with the provocative behavior of the Blackbeard pirates, Xia Yu raised the corner of his mouth slightly. They are simply a bunch of clowns. Haven't you noticed until now the terrifying power of the Seraphim beside you? Ignoring everyone, Xia Yu asked a Seraph to bring Ace over. Ace belongs to us, Xia Yu said lightly. Looking at what Xia Yu did, Blackbeard smiled ferociously. Ace would naturally be handed over to the Navy. Without Ace, he couldn't have become one of the 7 warlords of the sea. However, Xia Yu, without his permission, actually moved Ace to the position of the Navy, and Blackbeard still felt a little upset. You are just an 8-year-old kid, and you have such an attitude when doing business with me. This time, I will definitely teach you a good lesson and let you know the dangers of this society. For the sake of the 7 Warlords of the sea, I can't kill you, but I can still steal some things. Ace has already given you the position of Shichibukai and one of your warships. It's time for them to belong to us, right? Blackbeard said obscenely with a cunning smile. You bastard, our navy has not promised to give you warships. Vice Admiral Mole shouted angrily. But the response was the pirates' laughter. Ha ha ha. I can change my mind now, okay? You don't really think you can leave here safely without leaving a warship behind, do you? The members of the Blackbeard pirates sat up straight one by one, and a fierce aura instantly emanated from their bodies. The air around them became extremely heavy under their pressure. The Mole Vice Admiral was filled with emotion as he sensed the terrifying power around him with his observation haki. No wonder these guys were able to capture the strongest rookie of the year, Ace the Fire Fist. The strength is indeed strong. Chapter 15 Blackbeard, 10 Shichibukai. I give in. Xia Yu, however, acted as if nothing had happened. This Uncle Huo Xia. You really are an idiot. Haven't you noticed yet that all your escape routes are now surrounded by Seraphim? You can't escape this time. Just die here, Xia Yu said lightly. It turned out that when Xia Yu was sure that Ace was in his hands, he directly gave his orders to the Seraphim. That is, surround all possible escape routes of Blackbeard. Before Badgers could react, he continued to increase the intensity of his ridicule. Ha 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 ha. What nonsense are you talking about, you little brat? We're surrounded. By whom? Not by your friends, are we? Is your little friend called Seraph? Badgers said with a wild laugh. The other members also smiled playfully. In their eyes, Xia Yu is just a second-generation official who knows nothing about the world. Xia Yu had no idea that any one of these pirates in front of him could beat up his friends. Blackbeard, however, showed a rare solemn expression. Seraph? After a moment of confusion, Blackbeard looked around. Sure enough, every intersection was blocked. Only then did Blackbeard realize that something was wrong. He activated his observation haki to the extreme, and his face changed drastically. And many more. Badger, watch out for those little devils, they are not simple. Blackbeard suddenly shouted. The other team members then began to pay a little attention to the Seraphim when their seeing and hearing color is attached to the surroundings. Layers of cold sweat appeared on the surprised foreheads. Is this really the aura that an 8 or 9-year-old child can unleash? Too horrible. As a sniper, Van Oka's observation haki is the most powerful among this group. Therefore, after receiving Blackbeard's reminder, he immediately discovered these Seraphim in front of them. They were not simple. The other team members also gradually felt the terrifying aura that the Seraphim had unleashed before the battle. Then, everyone showed shocked looks. Raphael's eyes widened. What's going on? Over the years, I've fought against many powerful people. I've never witnessed such a terrifying aura. Although Beiji's own observation haki is relatively weak, he can still feel the extremely powerful strength of these little ghosts. He swallowed hard at his own saliva. Each one of them has a bounty of at least over 100 million. 10 guys with bounties over 100 million at once, plus a veteran vice admiral. Even for our Blackbeard pirates, it would be difficult to deal with them, Badgers said worriedly. The Blackbeard pirates, their previous arrogance has now disappeared completely. Ace was currently being guarded by a Seraph, so he could better sense the strength of these little devils. Even more powerful than what the Blackbeard pirates said. It definitely won't just be over 100 million. This made Ace open his mouth wide, with a look of shock on his face. The key is that they are just 7 or 8-year-old kids. Even someone as gifted as me, at the age of 8, was only able to fight wild beasts in the forest. Page 14. My talent is nothing compared to theirs. Navy, when did they recruit such a terrifying brat? Ace, I just can't figure it out. At this time, Lieutenant General Mole also stood up with a smug look on his face. HMPH, a bunch of ignorant pirates. To tell you the truth, the strength of each of these Seraphs has reached the level of the 7 Warlords of the sea. Vice Admiral Mole said proudly. Exclamation. As soon as these words were spoken, all kinds of exclamation marks and question marks appeared on the foreheads of the Blackbeard pirates and even Ace the Fire Fist. Has everyone's strength reached the level of the Seven Warlords of the Sea? To reach the level of the Seven Warlords of the Sea is extremely difficult in this ocean. Otherwise, the Seven Warlords of the Sea would not be known as the Seven Warlords of the Sea. The third largest force besides the Navy and the Four Emperors. Who among those who can become the Seven Warlords of the Sea is not a famous pirate? You tell me, an 8-year-old kid reached the level of Shichibukai. How can this be? And even more terrifying. You mean, they all reached the rank of Shichibukai, meaning all 10 Shichibukai? If it is true, the 10 Seven Warlords of the Sea forming a team is such a terrifying force that it is hard to find a match for them even in this ocean. Of course, including the Four Emperors. This is simply an international joke. Even a treacherous hero like Blackbeard and even Ace the Fire Fist showed doubts. Mole, you bastard, do you really think that I, Blackbeard, was scared into submission? I admit that the strength of these little devils has greatly exceeded my expectations. But you're saying, their strength, each of them is a Shichibukai? Ha ha, do you really think I'm a 3-year-old child? Don't think about affecting my morale before the battle, that's impossible. Although these guys are powerful, my pirate group can still break out if we fight to the death. Blackbeard said, gritting his teeth. HMPH, by that time, I'm afraid your navy will also suffer some damage. In my opinion, we should both take a step back. You take Ace and leave, and our Blackbeard pirates only need the title of Shichibukai. What do you think? Lafitte, who was half of Blackbeard's military advisor in the early days, said with his eyes narrowed. Blackbeard is indeed a treacherous hero. When he saw the strength of the navy, he immediately gave in. Ha. I apologize for my previous recklessness and arrogance. You can take Ace and leave now. After becoming a Shichibukai, I will obey the call of your navy. Unexpectedly, Xia Yu slowly stood up at this time. Xia, I think you are overthinking. If you risk your lives to break out, our navy will also suffer losses. This is simply a joke, to tell you the truth. It only takes 2 people to fight against your Whitebeard pirates, Xia Yu said in a baby voice. Afterwards, Xia Yu gave his orders to the Seraphim like a little adult. Seraph obeys. 4 Seraphs will guard Blackbeard's retreat, 4 Seraphs will protect us, and the remaining Seraphs Hawkeye and Akenu, go and wipe out the Blackbeard pirates. Chapter 16. Blackbeard. Are these all killing machines created by this 8-year-old kid? These Seraphim, after receiving Xia Yu's orders. Whoosh whoosh whoosh, air figures flashed, and they acted quickly, with full execution. Looking at the orderly movements and superb speed of these Seraphim, Blackbeard finally realized a very scary problem. Blackbeard showed a fearful expression, swallowed hard, and then spoke. You just said Seraph Hawkeye, Seraph Akenu? What exactly does that mean? Blackbeard frowned and asked solemnly. The other Blackbeard crew members also looked terrified. Maybe it was just a coincidence, or maybe it's just that naming it like this makes it look cooler. Could it be that these little Seraph imps really possess the power of Mihawk and Kasazaki? Ace, also with a look of surprise, looked at the 2 Seraphim in front of him. You know what, he really does look a bit like Hawkeye, Mihawk, and Sakazuki. Who the hell are these little brats? Since you are already dead, then I don't mind telling you that the Shichibukai system is no longer necessary, and the ones who replaced the 7 Warlords of the Sea are these war machines. Looking at their appearance, I think you should be able to guess it, right? These young men possess all the strength of the 7 Warlords of the Sea and part of the strength of the 3 Admirals. Vice Admiral Mole said with a slight smile on his face. I felt secretly happy inside. It's so cool to have a powerful and obedient war machine by your side, Blackbeard. Weren't you looking so arrogant just now? Are you still thinking about snatching the warships from us? I admire your courage. You brought 10 Shichibukai-level Seraphim with you, and you still dared to be so arrogant. I really don't know how to write the word death, Blackbeard. Van Oka, Raphael, Badges, and Poison Q were all shocked. The amount of information was so overwhelming that they were unable to react for a moment. One by one, they opened their mouths as wide as possible. I used to think these little ghosts were human beings, but it seems that I was wrong from the beginning. These little devils are actually war machines. Moreover, the Navy wants them to replace the 7 Warlords of the sea. Then their strength must be able to reach the level of the 7 Warlords of the sea. It's just a machine. Can it really reach the level of the 7 Warlords of the sea? If this is true, then wouldn't the ocean be completely turned upside down? A powerful 7 Warlord of the sea, who may not appear even once among tens of millions of people, can now be replaced by robots. Just think about it, it's so scary. Impossible, absolutely impossible. When did your Navy's technological power become so terrifying? Could it be Vegapunk? Blackbeard has followed Whitebeard for so many years, so he has some knowledge and experience, so naturally he knows about the existence of Vegapunk. He is a scientist who possesses advanced technology that is 500 years ahead of the world. Now he seriously doubted that if these masterpieces were real, then it was almost 100% certain that they were the work of Vegapunk. To everyone's surprise, Vice Admiral Mole raised the corner of his mouth slightly and looked at Xia Yu beside him. I'm sorry to tell you, these war machines were not made by Vegapunk. The guy who made them is Dr. Xia Yu in front of you, no matter where in the world he is, Lieutenant General Mole said proudly. Vice Admiral Mole is naturally extremely proud of the 8-year-old genius scientist of the Navy. What? Blackbeard and the others opened their mouths so wide that their eyes almost popped out, revealing extremely exaggerated expressions. 8 years old, an 8-year-old kid could actually develop seraphs with combat power comparable to the 7 Warlords of the sea, and 10 of them at once. Who would believe this if I told them? How many years earlier did this kid's brain develop? At the age of 8, he has already evolved his brain to be more powerful than the world's #1 scientist, Vegapunk. If this continues for a few more years, won't it still be like going to heaven? Ace, who was standing next to Xia Yu, widened his eyes with a look of shock on his face. He looked at the little devil standing in front of him with an incredible look, swallowing his saliva continuously. It looks like it's no different from an ordinary little ghost, right? Is it this kid who created a war machine that is powerful enough to break the balance between the 3 major forces in the sea? This isn't it too far-fetched? Page 15. Think about myself. When I was 8 years old, I was still playing with various animals in the forest, and Xia Yu actually created a machine that could affect the ocean. The difference is huge. No one else has such a smart brain. Are you kidding me? Mole, an 8-year-old kid, was able to develop such a terrifying war machine. Who are you trying to fool? Bashes felt that his intelligence was insulted and said angrily. Lafitte, Duque, and Fan Oka also showed suspicious expressions. If the mole had said that Vegapunk had created such a terrifying machine, they might have believed it a little. But if the person who created such a terrifying robot was just an 8-year-old kid, they won't believe it even if you kill them. Blackbeard also noticed it. This time, the Navy really wants to take real action against me. There is no more hesitation. A pair of cunning little eyes revealed a hint of viciousness. No matter whether what he said is true or false, we have no other choice now. Guys, use all your skills to escape from here. Otherwise, I might really die here this time. Ha 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 ha. As expected of a treacherous hero, in such a situation, Blackbeard actually laughed again. The crew members of the Blackbeard pirates were also infected by Blackbeard one by one. Those who were afraid of him before suddenly burst out with a morale of being ready to die. Xia Yu glanced sideways. Is this Blackbeard's leadership? When everyone is panicking, everyone is doomed. If everything breaks out, there might still be hope of survival. Sure enough, he has the potential to be one of the 4 emperors, but it's a pity that the system has identified it as a disgusting task and wants you to die. How can you possibly get tomorrow? Xia Yu did not hesitate and just waved slightly. Seraph Katero, Seraph Akenu. Get started. Kill them all, leave no one behind. Whizzing as soon as the voice fell, the two figures suddenly disappeared. Immediately afterwards, the sound of footsteps came from all directions. Blackbeard was startled. Damn it! I never thought these robots would learn the 6 styles of the Navy. Everyone run quickly. We don't want to kill anyone, we just want to escape as fast as we can. Blackbeard roared loudly. Chapter 17 Blackbeard, isn't this the ability of Admiral Kizaru? Everyone fled in all directions. Blackbeard was the fastest runner, heading towards a Seraph who looked very similar to Gecko Morai. It turns out that Blackbeard had already vaguely guessed that the strength of these Seraphs was very likely to be very similar to that of the 7 Warlords of the sea they resembled. That's why Blackbeard thought of taking a gamble. Get rid of the Seraph Moria who is guarding one of the escape routes, and then use the power of his dark fruit. Maybe he can really escape the encirclement. Only ideals are full, but reality is very skinny. Xia Yu had thought of this a long time ago, so he had already made his own arrangements in advance. Just when Blackbeard was feeling proud of his plan, a pair of eagle-like sharp eyes had already locked onto Blackbeard. Even though he was just a robot, the look in Seraph Hawkeye's eyes still made Blackbeard feel a chill. The next moment, he looked behind him and saw a powerful slashing wave appearing in the sky. It was madly rushing towards me in the shape of a crescent moon. This made Blackbeard even more shocked. What a fast speed! He didn't even notice the movement of the knife. It's really hard to escape from being targeted by a monster like this. Blackbeard sighed for a moment. The next moment, a powerful slash directly hit Blackbeard's shoulder. The powerful armament haki actually penetrated Blackbeard's defense. Sizzling, a blood-red arc spread across the entire sky. After just one encounter, a sword scar of medium size appeared on Blackbeard's shoulder. Blackbeard was also directly knocked away by the aftermath of this terrifying slash. Seeing this scene, Ace was stunned. The domineering power used in this slash was even stronger than his own. Is this really a robot? Ace swallowed his saliva, a look of surprise on his face. Vice Admiral Mole showed a proud expression. See, these Seraphim are all the masterpieces of Dr. Xia Yu. Did you dare to mock our Navy just now? As a result, we suppressed them in an instant. These machines have actually learned haki. Is this really a robot? Damn it! This isn't just ordinary domineering. This terrifying armament haki has already reached the level of Yuo as expected of a kid who looks like Hawkeye. Feeling the pain in his shoulder, Blackbeard clenched his fist and said unwillingly. But then, a lewd smile appeared on his face again. Ha ha ha. But you guys were fooled. I never intended to defeat you from the beginning. With the help of Hawkeye Mihawk's powerful slash, Blackbeard ran away while being knocked back. The speed is even faster. As long as I can break through the escape route guarded by the Seraph Moonlight Moria, I can leave here completely. Blackbeard looked excited. And Gecko Moria also noticed Blackbeard's arrival. The next moment, Gecko Moria aimed his hands directly at Blackbeard. Sizzling sizzle exclamation. The sound of the machine starting up rang out instantly. This made Blackbeard startled. Could it be that my guess was wrong? These Seraphim only resemble the 7 Warlords in appearance. Their combat effectiveness actually has little to do with their appearance. Just as I was wondering, Seraphim Moria, the laser has been activated. The next moment a large amount of light waves blasted towards Blackbeard. The light all over the sky dyed the entire sky yellow. Blackbeard's field of vision was also filled with this terrifying light wave. Seeing such a shocking scene, Blackbeard widened his eyes and his lips trembled slightly. Isn't this the ability of Admiral Kizaru's flash fruit? Damn it! Why does he have the ability of Admiral Kizaru? This is going to be difficult to deal with. The escape route has been completely blocked by lasers. Blackbeard frowned and said in shock. I really didn't expect that Seraph actually possessed some of Kizaru's abilities. At this moment, Blackbeard really felt like there was an ambush in front of him and pursuers behind him. The legs that were originally running suddenly stopped, and the observation haki was activated to the extreme state. Boom, 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 laser beams kept passing by Blackbeard. Rumble, rumble, exclamation, one after another. Terrifying laser beams hit the giant mountain. Almost every laser beam can blast a terrifying giant hole in the rocks of Bana Island. After the explosion, all the islands within a radius of several square kilometers behind Blackbeard became bumpy. Page 16. At this moment, a large amount of rock fragments were instantly blown into the sky. Blackbeard's forehead was covered in cold sweat. This strength was definitely not weak. If this could hit me, I would definitely lose a layer of skin. The other members of the Blackbeard pirates are not much better off. Badgers was running hard towards an escape route, but the next moment, a red figure appeared in front of him. The Navy's six-style shave, capable of bursting out at speeds comparable to teleportation in a short period of time. It's truly a troublesome physical technique. Badgers sighed for a moment and picked up a huge rock beside him. Ahahaha. No matter how powerful your machine is, if it's hit by my boulder, it will turn you into scrap metal. The next moment, the muscles on Badger's body swelled up, and the huge rock was thrown over in an instant like a toy in his hand. The terrifying boulder blocked out the sky and formed a large shadow on the ground, smashing directly towards the Seraph Akenu. Looking at the huge rock above his head, the Seraph Akenu raised the corners of his mouth slightly, revealing a smile. Then he pointed his finger to the sky, and the next moment, a terrifying laser beam was shot out from Akenu's palm, boom, accompanied by a loud bang. Under the powerful force, the huge rock thrown by Bashes was blown into pieces. Pieces of rock, shattered into pieces, fell from the sky from time to time. Badgers widened his eyes, staring at the sky, and simply stood there in a daze. This is Admiral Kizaru's ability. You actually added this kind of power to create your little ghost. Is he a devil? Hateful. Seeing that his meteorite attack failed, he became angry. The next moment, armament haki gathered on his fist, and Badgers rushed towards the Seraph Akenu. Seeing this scene, Xia Yu showed a hint of disdain. This Badgers is really a simple-minded guy with strong limbs. At this time, you should listen to Blackbeard. Seize all your time, use all your abilities, and escape. That's it. He's actually still thinking about destroying the Seraph. He's simply courting death. Sure enough, if it was as Xia Yu expected. The Seraph Akenu also launched the shaving attack at the same time. Tap, tap, tap. With the sound of his feet stomping on the ground, the Seraph Akenu instantly appeared in front of Badges, gathered the armament color on one finger, and used a pistol bump. A powerful force instantly burst out from one point and hit Badger's fist. The terrifying Yuo haki pierced through Badger's fist and exited through his shoulder. What with a scream, Badgers fell to the ground and rolled around. Seeing that Badgers had temporarily lost his combat effectiveness, Seraph Akenu moved again, and in an instant he arrived in front of the other Blackbeard members. Lasers, pistols, and land kicks Rumble, Van Oka, Raphael, and Poison Q were also completely controlled by the Seraph Akenu. They sat on the ground one by one, still in a mess. They all suffered varying degrees of physical injuries and looked shocked. What a powerful marine Rokushiki! It truly is a formidable war machine. Not only does he possess the Navy's 6 types, he also possesses terrifying lasers. He's not easy to deal with, damn it. Now it seems that the mole didn't lie to us. These machines are really incredibly powerful. The crew members of the Blackbeard pirates were all sweating profusely on their foreheads and began to feel fearful. Chapter 18. Robots have the power of Admiral Akenu. How to defend against it. On the other side, Blackbeard, after dodging the attack of Seraphim Moriah, was also attacked by Seraphim Hawkeye. Even though he activated his armament haki in advance, it still left a horrific scar on his body, which was shocking. Is this the power of Seraph Hawkeye Mihawk's slashing attack? It's too scary. Blackbeard, who was in great pain, rolled on the ground, grimacing. Damn it, I have the dark fruit, so the pain in my body will be doubled. Wow, wow, wow. Blackbeard lay on the ground, wailing in pain. Fan, Ayaka, and others were all shocked. Even Captain Blackbeard was hurt. Blackbeard endured the pain in his body and roared loudly, "Idiots! Don't worry about me. What are you still standing there for? Break out quickly. Remember what I said, don't fight to the end, and make escaping your life the priority." Blackbeard said in a deep voice. After hearing Blackbeard's words, Badgers, Van Oka, and others started fighting again. Bang bang bang. Van Oka took the lead in attacking, firing several shots at the Seraphim Akenu. Poison Q followed closely behind and threw out an exploding apple. Rumble. When the apples fell to the ground, they instantly turned into terrifying bombs and exploded violently around the body of the Seraph Akenu. The huge explosion also caused a lot of ruins. Taking advantage of this opportunity, the members of the Blackbeard pirates once again ran for their lives. Ehahaha. Good job, guys. Just wait. Damn Navy, we will definitely take revenge. Badgers said excitedly. Fan Oka and others also showed proud expressions. Machines are machines, and their combat IQ is far behind theirs. The group gathered together again and rushed towards an escape route guarded by Seraphim. However, just as they were trying to escape, but he felt an extremely hot sensation behind him. It was as if there was a huge fireball burning them. Weird. What? When they turned back, their faces were completely stupid at this time. The Seraph Akenu was in the sky, stepping on the moon, and the fist in his hand had turned into hot magma at some point. The terrifying magma power continued to gather, and drops of magma dripped out from the hands of the Seraph Akenu. Sizzling. A tiny drop of magma, after falling to the ground, appeared with a puff of smoke, and actually burned a huge hole directly on the rock. The Seraph Akenu is like a god who is judging them, so terrifying. When the members of the Blackbeard pirates saw the scene in front of them, they swallowed their saliva frantically, with shock on their faces. Their hearts are even more turbulent. Damn, did I read that correctly? Am I hallucinating? Even his speech began to tremble. Not only does it possess terrifying physical skills, the ability to shoot laser beams, but now it even possesses the power of a devil fruit. Are you sure this is a robot? Q said in disbelief with a very shocked expression. This is the ability of the magma fruit. That is the ability of the Navy Admiral Akenu. This robot also has it? Van Oka frowned tightly, with a look of disbelief on his face. The kid who made this machine is the devil. Lafitte widened his eyes with a look of horror. This is impossible. Badgers was completely stunned where he stood, exaggerating to the extreme. At this time, Blackbeard, who was fighting, also saw the scene in front of him and was completely dumbfounded. Each of them possesses the strength of a Shichibukai. It's actually true. A robot actually possesses devil fruit powers. Blackbeard said exaggeratedly. When he was fighting with Seraphim Hawkeye before, he could already vaguely feel the terrifying power of Seraphim Mihawk's slashing attack. Now, the Seraph Akenu has unleashed such terrifying magma fruit abilities, it is almost certain that these Seraphim have indeed reached the point where they can destroy the balance of the entire ocean. Page 17. And the guy who built this machine was just an 8-year-old kid, speaking of which, even Blackbeard himself saw it with his own eyes, and it is still hard to believe. At this moment, Ace also saw such a shocking scene and was shocked beyond words on the spot. No way before, I didn't understand why Garp didn't want me to be a pirate. Now I understand the Navy is truly too powerful. If we make an enemy of them, I'm afraid there will be no good outcome. The strength of just one robot is comparable to mine. If these machines were mass-produced, wouldn't all the pirates in the world be doomed? Ace thought in horror. On the battlefield, the Seraph Akenu was like a demon, staring at everyone. Big fire. The next moment, a huge magma fireball was released from the hands of the Seraph Akenu. The giant fist of scorching magma emitted thick black smoke, covering the sky and filling the entire sky. Even the air in the sky became dry and hot. That's because the scorching hot magma has dried up all the air in the sky. The huge magma fist is like a small sun. After seeing it, people can't help but feel their scalp tingling. Even Lieutenant General Mole had an incredible expression on his face. Others may not know, but as someone in the Marine headquarters, I know better than anyone the true combat effectiveness of the so-called admirals. This terrifying devil fruit magma power is at least 60% of Admiral Akenu's power. A single machine could actually achieve such terrifying power. Even though Vice Admiral Mole had been mentally prepared, he couldn't help but sigh in admiration. After using all his strength to block Mihawk's attack, Blackbeard looked up at the sky and was shocked by the strength of the Seraph Akenu. When the members of the Blackbeard pirates saw this scene, they all showed expressions of horror. From the very beginning, they miscalculated the power of the Seraphim. These Seraphs are even more terrifying than some ordinary Seven Warlords of the sea. It's so shocking this is the most powerful among the three admirals. He can use the devil fruit ability of Akenu Kasazaki so perfectly. Van Oka said in disbelief. Magma is an existence that is superior to the flame fruit. It's already so difficult for us to defeat Ace, let alone the Seraph Akenu. We have no chance of winning. Q opened his mouth wide and sighed. What should I do? Even from such a distance I can feel the burning sensation on my skin. If this hits my body, I will be doomed. Lafitte's eyes were dull and his face was full of shock. Damn it, think of a way, someone think of a way. How do we defend against this move? Badgers became completely panicked and sought answers from his teammates around him. But the answer is obviously no. This move is difficult to defend against in terms of both speed and destructive power. Chapter 19 Ace is in despair. This robot is a hexagonal warrior, right? Whoosh, the powerful force instantly appeared in front of everyone. With no other options, the Blackbeard pirates gathered together and quickly activated their armament haki, enveloping themselves in jet black armor. This was the only solution they could think of. Rumble exclamation accompanied by a loud noise that resounded throughout the heavens and earth. The huge magma fist completely exploded in the heart of the Blackbeard pirates. A bottomless magma pit was created in an instant. It's not over yet. A large amount of magma power quickly began to spread around. Eventually, the terrifying force of magma evolved into a large number of volcanic bombs. Rumble above the ground, horrifying loud noises erupted again. A large amount of rocks were instantly turned into powder by the continuous and terrifying explosions. It lasted for several seconds before the sound of the explosion gradually disappeared. The Blackbeard pirates, who had huddled together for warmth, were now blown to pieces after rolling a few times. They scattered everywhere, each one like a dead dog lying on the ground, motionless. Even Blackbeard was affected and was directly blasted to the ground, spitting blood. Seeing this scene, Ace, who was surrounded by Seraphim in front of Xia Yu, became even more uneasy. This terrifying power is even more powerful than I imagined. Looking at the Seraphim around him again, each of them looked like a child. It is really hard to understand how these seemingly harmless children can be so powerful. Even Blackbeard was affected and seriously injured. After the battle with Blackbeard, Ace is very clear about Blackbeard's strength. Blackbeard, just go and die. This is what you get for your disrespect for our navy. Vice Admiral Mole took a step forward and said seriously, Ha ha ha, is Blackbeard going to fall? I think not necessarily. The next moment, whoosh whoosh, several figures suddenly appeared one after another. One by one, they rushed towards the Seraph Akenu in the sky. These figures were none other than Fan Oka, Q, Badgers, and others who had been lying motionless on the ground. It's not that they were not injured by the previous terrifying lava attack. On the contrary, each of them had extensive burns on their bodies, and they were all vomiting and having diarrhea. However, they also understood that this was their only chance. Even though their lives were in danger, they burst out with extremely strong fighting power. Just an exchange of glances, and as teammates, they understood what Blackbeard meant. Ha ha ha. My previous strategy was wrong. Facing such a formidable opponent, if I don't concentrate all my strength to kill one of them, it will be impossible to escape. With a burst of laughter, Blackbeard actually avoided Hawkeye's pursuit. Instead, he was the first to arrive in front of the Seraph Akenu. The power of the dark fruit is activated. The dark power gathered in a ball on Blackbeard's palm. Dark water. A huge dark hand suddenly grabbed the arm of the Seraph Akenu. The Seraph Akenu wanted to activate his magma power, but he couldn't start it anymore now. Do it. I can't hold on for much longer. Blackbeard roared loudly. This is their only chance now, so they have to take it seriously. In an instant, all kinds of attacks came from all directions. Van Occaton moved, endured the burns on his body, and fired several shots in succession. Bang, bang, bang. Unlike the previous attacks, this time the bullets actually contained all kinds of terrifying armed color domineering. Beijis picked up a huge stone, wrapped it in armament haki, and threw it at the Seraph Akenu. The speed was as fast as lightning, and sparks were created by the friction in the air. Poison Q also prepared highly corrosive poison bombs and threw them at the Seraph. Since it's a robot, it should be able to be corroded. The devil Sheriff Lafitte took out his cane and pressed the button. The next moment, thousands of small stingers, after combining with the armament color, attacked the Seraph Akenu. At this moment, the sky was full of attacks, like a Gatling gun, madly attacking the Seraph Akenu. The mole was terrified, however. Xia Yu looked indifferent. What a joke! Unless a general-level attack destroys all of my Seraphim at once, my Seraphim will be able to recover. On the battlefield, boom, boom, boom! Exclamation! The sound of iron clashing erupted from the body of the Seraph Akenu. Lines of blood also erupted from the body of the Seraph. This surprised Blackbeard for a moment. He really didn't expect that this robot actually had human blood. Just thinking about it makes my scalp tingle. Continue the attack. Page 18. Destroy him completely. After witnessing the horror of the Seraph, Blackbeard did not dare to be careless at all and continued to urge his men to attack. The next moment, Badgers, Lafitte, and others opened their weapons again, moved a few times, and instantly came in front of the Seraphim, launching their attacks at the same time. Boom, boom, boom! Once again, various attacks hit the body of Seraphim. Hiss, 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 accompanied by the sound of a machine short circuit. Seraph Akenu, like a deflated ball, fell straight down from the sky. Finally, he fell heavily to the ground. Ha ha ha. It's really hard to take out one first. Blackbeard showed a smug look. The next moment, the group did not dare to be careless. They all turned their backs to the Seraph Akenu, who had been beaten to the ground, increased their speed, and rushed towards the escape route guarded by Gecko Moria. Ha ha ha. Hey boys, if we kill this guy guarding the road, we'll be free. Boss, this time, it's really embarrassing. Ha 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 ha. The pirates of the Blackbeard Pirates showed excitement after killing the Seraph. Although you, Seraph, are very powerful, your combat IQ is no match for veterans like them. This also makes them think that they can escape this time. However, in less than a second, the Seraph Akenu, who had been knocked down before, suddenly stood up straight and recovered as before. After seeing this scene, Vice Admiral Mole, although he had guarded Xia Yu's laboratory and had heard about the news of Seraphim, but the people who tested Seraphim were all high-ranking naval officials. Vice Admiral Mole doesn't know some of the specific abilities of Seraph. Powerful recovery ability is one of them. This is too scary, right? He actually recovered? Vice Admiral Mole widened his eyes in disbelief. Behind him, Ace, who was handcuffed with Seastone, also discovered the power of Seraph. I was shocked on the spot. I just saw the Seraph Akenu being seriously injured. What happened? Standing up again? Could it be that these Seraphim still possess Kaido's physique? Thinking of this, Ace swallowed hard unconsciously. If that's the case, it's horrible. It's conceivable that a polygonal warrior with the ability of a general, powerful physical skills, and extraordinary domineering power actually possesses Kaido's terrifying defense. How hopeless it would be for those who fought against them. Chapter 20. Blackbeard, run, or you will die. It's very difficult to win if you fight. Even if you use your conspiracy to cause damage to the Seraph, it can still repair itself within a second. It is necessary to inflict fatal damage to the Seraph within a short period of time. Otherwise, the Seraph will recover from the original position. I'm afraid no one wants to meet this kind of opponent. However, the most terrifying thing is far more than that. What I thought before was just the case of a Seraph. But the Navy has 10 Seraphim. Even more terrifying is that the entire Marine headquarters may have even more Seraphs in this case. Even if there is a conflict with the 4 Emperors, I am afraid that with the current strength of the Navy holding the Seraphim, they can crush the 4 Emperors. Hello, your name is Dr. Xia Yu, right? I want to ask, how many such Seraphim do you have in your navy? Ace asked in a deep voice. Oh. Hearing Ace's question, Xia Yu turned his head and looked over. A Seraph of the Shichibukai level. 10 more. Of course, only for now. I think we can develop a general level Seraph when we get back as the research and development funds increase. The mass production of Seraphim at the level of the Seven Warlords of the Sea will continue to increase, Xia Yu replied indifferently. As a criminal about to be imprisoned in a large underwater prison, Xia Yu naturally has nothing to hide. After hearing Xia Yu's words, Ace just stood there in a daze. Every word Xia Yu said deeply shocked Ace. The Navy currently has 10 of these terrifying Seraphim. There are so many. This is no longer a force that can replace the 7 Warlords of the Sea. Maybe it can even replace the 4 Emperors. And from what this kid said, there are actually general-level Seraphim. My good boy, the Navy actually still wants to continue manufacturing such a terrifying war machine. Are they treating pirates all over the world as imaginary enemies? Apart from this one reason, Ace really couldn't think of any other reasons from the Navy. After all, with 20 war machine Seraphs and the combat power of the Marine headquarters, even if they wanted to wipe out the 4 Emperors in one fell swoop, it would be easy to do. Then there is only one possibility. They are counting all the pirates in this world. In addition to the 7 Warlords of the Sea and the 4 Emperors, even legendary pirates like Golden Lion, as well as super pirates who have never been known to the public and the future Pirate King are all included. Is this the new era that Mr. Garp once told me about? This made Ace doubt his life and he fell into deep thought. Dad, after I'm arrested, please don't be stupid and come to rescue me, otherwise that will be the day of destruction for the Whitebeard pirates. Now all Ace has left is regret. He really shouldn't have disobeyed his father and chased after Blackbeard, which led to today's disaster. On the battlefield, the Seraph Akenu continued to perform his mission the moment he stood up. The powerful magma gathered on the Seraph's fist again, and finally formed the shape of a dog's head. The surrounding air also directly rose to a temperature of dozens of degrees due to the influence of the hot magma. Dog to Thread Lotus. The next moment, the huge dog head suddenly rushed towards the Blackbeard pirate gang that was running wildly in front of him with its back to him. A huge red magma dog head appeared in an instant, sweeping across the sky with the force of thunder. Wherever it passed, all the moisture in the air was evaporated. Blackbeard and others noticed that something was wrong with the atmosphere around them and looked suspicious. What happened? He subconsciously looked behind him, and then he saw a huge lava dog head, baring its fangs and biting towards Blackbeard and the others. Everyone was so shocked that they were speechless and their faces were filled with confusion. What? Seraph Akenu, we clearly destroyed him just now. Why, you're standing up again now. Moreover, all the injuries we caused to Seraphim before have now all healed. Looking at the Seraph Akenu, who was unharmed and without even a scar on his body, the pirates of the Whitebeard pirates were confused. Could it be that these Seraphim also possess the powerful recovery ability of the animal type? How do you expect us to fight against an opponent of this level? Just when the members of the Blackbeard pirates were confused and stood there in a daze, the scorching canine-tooth Red Lotus did not slow down at all because of this. In an instant, they were already approaching the Blackbeard pirates. Damn, I can't hide anymore. Blackbeard looked at the sudden attack in the sky with a look of horror. The other members widened their eyes and looked terrified. This time I'm really going to die, they all said nervously. Page 19. Until now, they still haven't figured it out. They are clearly robots, and there are no humans to repair their machinery. What on earth is the reason for this abnormal recovery ability? That 8-year-old kid named Xia Yu has a terrifying brain, a monstrous genius. This is definitely a monstrous genius. Boom! Canine-tooth Red Lotus pounced directly on Blackbeard and started biting him. Sizzling. Since this attack itself is composed of magma, streams of water vapor evaporate from Blackbeard's body. The scorching heat instantly corroded Blackbeard's skin, and flesh. Blackbeard was about to use the power of his dark fruit when he discovered that this ferocious madmadog was actually swelling up hateful. It's going to explode at such a close distance. I'm really going to die. Everyone, hide quickly, Blackbeard roared. Chapter 21. Blackbeard was defeated and focused his fire on Xia Yu. As soon as the words fell, the giant madmadog suddenly exploded on the spot. Rumble! The terrifying heat kept surging in all directions. Wherever the shock wave passed, the trees were directly burned to ashes, and the huge rocks were turned into powder in an instant. Under the powerful shock wave, the members of the Blackbeard pirates opened their eyes wide, their eyes full of bloodshot. So powerful. Is this really the energy emitted by a war machine? This is too terrifying, isn't it? Damn it! Why did this machine suddenly stand up again after being knocked down by us? Everyone was confused, filled with complex emotions such as unwillingness, anger, humiliation, doubt, and fear. The members of the Blackbeard pirates all fainted one by one. He fell in the fire in a mess, looking extremely miserable. Blackbeard was the only one left. He slowly crawled up with blood at the corners of his mouth. Puff! Blackbeard, who was slumped on the ground, saw that the pirate group he had assembled with great difficulty was destroyed by robots, and an extremely unwilling expression appeared on his face. Why? That Admiral Seraph just now was clearly defeated by us. Why is he suddenly fine? Blackbeard roared unwillingly, very confused. Xia Yu's mouth corners slightly raised. This is nothing more than the addition of some materials with powerful recovery abilities, and some bloodline factors from powerful animal-type beings. Nothing surprising, you are just too weak, Xia Yu said in a baby voice. As the saying goes, killing someone and destroying their heart is just like this. After hearing Xia Yu's words, Blackbeard's face darkened, and the corners of his mouth twitched. The one who defeated me was actually an 8-year-old kid who even spoke in a baby voice. The machine he created, moreover, in the eyes of this 8-year-old kid, those abilities that shocked him beyond words were nothing in front of this kid. Moreover, I was looked down upon by an 8-year-old kid. The key point is that I couldn't refute it. I consider myself a hero after all. This is so frustrating. Blackbeard felt that he had been insulted nakedly, which was more painful than killing himself. Blackbeard, who has always been good at forbearance, completely collapsed for the first time. At this time, the attack of Seraph Hawkeye also came. A powerful slash, facing Blackbeard, is a flat slash, an arc-shaped slash that covered the sky, and the sun was formed in an instant, and with the momentum to destroy everything in the world, it slashed towards Blackbeard. Buzz! The powerful shock wave made a strange sound in the sky. Noticing the slash, Blackbeard exclaimed, "Damn it! Seraph Hawkeye!" Seraph Hawkeye's attack was much faster than the other Seraphs, and it was a surprise attack. Blackbeard barely activated his armament haki and had no time to dodge. Boom! In an instant, the powerful slash hit Blackbeard's chest. A large amount of blood, at this moment, surged madly. Blackbeard was also vomiting blood from the corner of his mouth. Seeing the scene, Ace widened his eyes. The Blackbeard pirates, an existence that even they cannot defeat. They were actually wiped out by 2 Seraphim. Seeing the current situation of the Blackbeard pirates, Ace felt happy, but at the same time, a sense of fear rose in the depths of his heart with these terrifying war machines. No. It should be said that from now on the entire world will belong to the Navy. Even Vice Admiral Mole couldn't help but open his mouth wide when he saw the cooperation between Seraph Akenu and Hawkeye. After just a few encounters, 2 Seraphim wiped out a newly emerged and powerful pirate group. Is this the terrifying power of the Seraph? Now I can truly feel it. On the other side, Blackbeard wiped the blood from his mouth and looked around. All of his companions have fainted. All escape routes in all directions have been blocked by Xia Yu's prearranged arrangements. A feeling of sadness suddenly came over me. I can't run away, but I, Blackbeard, will never accept my fate like this. I never thought that after enduring for so many years, Blackbeard finally obtained the dark fruit, but he capsized here. Surprisingly, I was defeated by a mere robot. I was defeated by an 8-year-old kid. Damn it. Blackbeard said ferociously, his teeth snapping. Okay. The mole was the first to discover that a large amount of darkness had gathered in Blackbeard's palm. All of this created dark energy actually poured into the ground. Suddenly a bad feeling came over me. Be careful, Blackbeard is doing something, Vice Admiral Mole warned. The next moment, Blackbeard roared. The entire ground suddenly began to shake along with Blackbeard. Ha ha ha. Even if I can't escape, I'm going to take a few Seraphs away for revenge. Also, your name is Xia Yu, right? I will kill you at the risk of my life, Blackbeard said ferociously with bloodshot eyes. With the mentality of taking someone down with him even if he dies, Blackbeard becomes more and more crazy. Lieutenant General Mole was extremely nervous. Seraphim, pay attention, protect Dr. Xia Yu. I didn't expect that Blackbeard still had such a terrifying and strange power hidden. I could feel that the entire island was filled with a dangerous atmosphere. It is very easy to hurt Xia Yu by mistake. Xia Yu's fighting ability is no different from that of an ordinary person. If he is affected by this strange black energy, he will be doomed. If such a genius scientist who could change the world, a genius who could lead the Navy to become the world's sole hegemon, died because I failed to protect him, I will be the eternal sinner of the Navy. Chapter 22 Ace. Why is the dark fruit ineffective? Thinking of this, Vice Admiral Mole's expression became more solemn. He quickly drew out his sword with armament hacky attached to it. Even if it means sacrificing my own life, I must protect Xia Yu. At this moment, the mole, a member of the Navy, made his own oath. Seeing Blackbeard's moves, Xia Yu narrowed his eyes slightly. Page 20. Fortunately, this time, I listened to Jan Guo's words and brought 10 Seraphim, which enabled me to activate the combined defense, otherwise you won't die. You invented these machines yourself, and you know their strength. However, once faced with a large-scale attack like Blackbeard's, it is very likely that he will suffer certain damage. In this case, I still have to find a way to use technology to improve my strength in the future. If we only rely on machines for protection, there are still some disadvantages. Xia Yu didn't know that this thought of his would cultivate a powerful super demon king with great technology and ruthlessness in the future. After all, Xia Yu has nothing to worry about this time. Lieutenant General Mole. It's okay. Xia Yu put back the knife that Lieutenant General Mole had pulled out. The mole looked puzzled. Xia Yu smiled slightly. Don't worry, with 10 Seraphim here, anyone who wants to hurt me would have to be at least as strong as Rocks. After hearing Xia Yu's words, Lieutenant General Mole felt a little relieved. Ace, who was standing by, was completely dumbfounded. Damn, what the hell is this? Is this kid in front of me still a human being? I had heard of Rock's name when I was on Whitebeard's ship, even his sinful father, Pirate King Roger. In front of Rocks, he is like a younger brother. It was the terrifying existence of Rocks who almost overthrew the rule of the celestial dragons. The Navy was almost destroyed by him. Therefore, the name Rocks has become a taboo for the world government. And Xia Yu actually said that only a pirate of Rocks level could break through. What he meant by defense, doesn't that mean that everyone in this world that he knows, even the world's strongest man, Whitebeard, is no match for him? This shocked Ace beyond words. Ace began to deeply doubt this kid, thinking that he was not a human being at all. Is the human brain really capable of creating so many terrifying war machines? All defenses are useless in front of my dark fruit. At least, I'm confident that I can kill this little brat who has no fighting power at all. You've created such a killing machine. You're no good. Follow me to hell. Ha ha ha. With a smug, arrogant smile. Dark acupoint path. Blackbeard roared. A large amount of dark energy, accompanied by Blackbeard's roar, completely exploded on the ground. It was like a terrifying black hole, pulling everything on the island into the ground and swallowing it. The island was filled with the miserable cries of animals being swallowed by darkness. Even the mountains and rivers were dragged into the ground by this terrifying force and crushed to pieces by the terrifying dark power. My dark fruit ability can devour everything in this world. Xia Yu, let's see how you can hide this time? Blackbeard showed a smug expression. Xia Yu smiled slightly and gave his orders to the Seraphim. Seraphim, activate the combined defense, Xia Yu said in a baby voice. The next moment, the Seraphim located in all directions cast several shaving techniques in succession and quickly returned to Xia Yu's side. Then, one by one they stepped onto each other's shoulders, forming the shape of an R-hat. He put his hands out in a defensive position. Vice Admiral Mole and Ace both looked curious. Is this the combined defense of Seraph? I just don't know if I can protect Xia Yu after all. Xia Yu's body was still very weak. Even if he received what they considered to be just a small injury, it would be fatal. Doctor. Xia Yu, do you really not need my help? The mole was very nervous and asked carefully. In stark contrast to Vice Admiral Mole's nervousness, Xia Yu didn't care at all. Don't worry, the Seraphim can handle it, Xia Yu said confidently. The next moment, a huge darkness descended upon everyone. Under the powerful gravitational force, Xia Yu and the others were directly dragged into the ground. Everyone was in complete darkness, and from time to time strange noises were heard all around, making people's hair stand on end. Ace has the most say about Blackbeard's dark abilities. Oops. Once you're caught in it, all your abilities except for Haki will be ineffective. Ace had a bad feeling. Your defenses were fine before you were pulled in. Once you were pulled into the ground, all your abilities were lost, and there was a terrifying pressure from all sides, and you couldn't even stretch your hands and feet. How could you dodge? Now the only thing to do is wait for death. Ace's face was filled with despair. However, several seconds passed. Ace, however, found that except for the things in front of him, which became extremely dark, his own movements were very free. This made Ace very confused. That's not right. I know better than anyone what it feels like to be in darkness. My ability to move will be greatly restricted. Why can I still move? Moreover, I am under the power of the dark fruit. Why don't I feel suffocated at all? The mole was also confused. Our group was hit by Blackbeard's mysterious dark power, but are we really not hurt at all? In the end, it was Xia Yu who spoke. Is this Blackbeard's secret acupuncture point? It's so boring, too weak. It turned out that when the Seraphim was attracted underground by the dark power, Xia Yu directly activated the Seraphim's absolute defense. All the pressure was directly offset by the transparent and domineering barrier formed by the Seraphim. Listen to my orders and attack. Xia Yu raised the corners of his mouth slightly and said confidently. Chapter 23 Mole, Seraph's sense of security is off the charts. The next moment, 10 Seraphim launched their attacks simultaneously, accompanied by a huge explosion boom. The dark forces on the ground were also instantly dispersed. Xia Yu and the others who were previously drawn into the earth by the power of darkness also reappeared on the surface. Ace, from the previous darkness to the current sunshine, Ace was surprised. It really came out. Moreover, not a single hair fell out. The dark force that he couldn't resist no matter how hard he tried, was defeated so easily by the robot created by Xia Yu. I felt like my worldview was shattered. Is this the defense that only Rocks level can break through? So terrifying. At this moment, the corners of Ace's mouth twitched. My strength is even worse than that of a robot. What is wrong with this world? The mole was also extremely shocked at this time, and the more he looked at the machine in front of him, the more he liked it. These are really some good things. With 10 Seraphim around, the sense of security is really maxed out. For all my expectations are way too high. There are only 20 Seraphim in the entire Navy. In the future, when I carry out a mission alone, I will be happy to have a Seraph following me. Even if you bring a Seraph with you, you will definitely feel extremely safe. He saw Xia Yu and the others standing in front of him again, unharmed. Blackbeard opened his mouth wide, his eyes widened, and his lips couldn't help but tremble. Blackbeard's heart completely collapsed at this moment. That was my strongest attack, possessing the power of a black hole. It can devour and crush everything in this world. Alright, legends, that's it for today. If you're ready for the next chapter, smash that like button and flood the comments right now. Remember, we've got 3 days to prove this story needs to continue. Subscribe so you don't miss the drop, and I'll meet you in the next audiobook.